Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity.
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Welcome to Ringside Reporter Podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. We have a great show for you today, and as always, you can catch us on the web at ringsidereporter.com. If you want to call or ask questions, you can call in now at 323-870-3857. We'll be here till about 9 o'clock tonight. Today, we're going to talk about Eddie Hearn and his big announcement with his streaming service. Is this a big deal? We'll tell you about it. A star was born last night as Jaime Munguia knocks out Saddam Ali and Srisaket Rungvisai. Robert, your boy, having girl problems, 99 problems. We'll tell you about them. But first, we get started with the fight of the weekend, Vasiliy Lomanchenko versus Jorge Linares. Vasiliy Lomachenko knocked out Jorge Linares in the 10th round to win the WBA lightweight championship. A lot of action in this fight. I thought Linares looked good early, but I didn't think he was winning rounds. And I think a lot of people maybe disagreed with me, but I thought he was doing well. And I thought he was doing better than a lot of people expected. I thought he was doing better than a lot of people did against Lomachenko. I still just didn't think he was winning the rounds. To me, just because you're putting up opposition against this guy doesn't mean you're actually going to win the round. Lomachenko started to turn up the pace, but I'll tell you what, in the 6th round, Linares connected with a straight right hand that he had been landing all night. And I'll go to Beeb for the breakdown in this in a minute, but I thought he was landing that right hand all night. And he wasn't. He landed a perfect shot right to Lomachenko's chin that put him on the canvas for the first time in his pro career. Lomachenko got up, was able to finish the round. But, he was a little, you could tell he was stunned. He got hit, and he got hit flush. Lomachenko seemed to wear down Linares with body shots and just the sheer pressure that he was putting on him all night. Lomachenko caught Linares with a perfect left hook to the body in the 10th round that dropped Linares. He could never recover, and that was the end of the fight. I thought Lomachenko really looked good in this. I mean, Linares is a top-tier fighter, man. I mean, he really is undefeated for 5 years. Very good fighter. Has you can't take anything away from him, and he fought with everything he had. I mean, he laid everything out on that table last night, and it just wasn't enough. What surprised me last night was actually surprised me at the weigh-in is the size difference. Linares is huge. I mean, compared to Lomachenko, he is huge. So I tell you what, I mean, you knew it was going to be an uphill battle for him, but Lomachenko really kind of took it in stride, boxed his fight, fought his normal fight. But again, man, he was getting clipped with those right hands early from the first round on. I noticed him getting hit with those right hands, and I thought, and he's throwing those right hands, and sometimes he would land, sometimes he would get close, but never flush like he did in the 6th round. And I just thought to myself, he better watch it because he's going in and out, and Linares is fast. He's not slow. My one criticism, of course, with Linares, and I texted Beeb about this during the fight, is I don't understand why Linares was not throwing more left hooks, and maybe Joe will get into this in the breakdown, but Linares was not throwing left hooks at all. And if you watch the fight, when they got in close, which was Lomachenko's fight, he wanted to get in close with this guy, he would move to the right. He would go inside and pivot to the right, and he turned him. And it looked to me, I mean, at least throw with the left hand, at least a left hook, just to get him out of that rhythm, just to make him stop doing that, and kind of going in and owning that real estate in there. Why he didn't throw more left hooks, I don't know. And I mean, I was thinking like those chin check left hooks, the ones that drop it and come over the top. Anything to stop him from moving to that right and kind of putting him where you want to go. So with that, Joe, what did you think of this fight? What did you think of Lomachenko? And what were your thoughts?
I'm going to give you the positives and the negatives. I'm not going to be a hater. I know that a lot of people are diehard Lomachenko fans,
Such a
and he's been hyped up a lot. And when you criticize him, a lot of people will tend to think that, hey, you know what, you're just being too hard on him, you're nitpicking, you're being a hater. But I'm glad that someone saw some of the same weaknesses that I saw last night. And hats off to Tim Bradley, because he made some outstanding points. Lomachenko is definitely fast. He's quick with his hands in with his feet. But again, he's another one of those guys who I classify like American, David Haye, Jean Pascal, and Manny Pacquiao to some degree, where their legs are everything. And legs are important in boxing, don't get me wrong, but their legs are everything when it comes to defense. These guys use their legs to go in and out a lot. They have the same similar ambush style where they go in and out. And when they're out, they're not in position to counter. They're not in position to get set and transition into offense quickly. So they have to rely on their legs to carry them back in to the offensive position. And primarily these types of fighters are mid-range guys, like Tim Bradley alluded to last night. Lomachenko is very dangerous in the mid-range, just like Manny Pacquiao, just like David Haye, just like Jean Pascal. When you go out on them, they have a hard time catching up with you. And when you go all the way in on them, you can smother them, and you can work on the inside and grind them to the body. So if you noticed last night with Lomachenko is he'll go from side to side, but he always comes back into the middle. And when he comes back into the middle, I think Tim Bradley mentioned this as well, and this is something that I saw from other fights. He doesn't throw punches until he's in the middle, until he's directly in front of you. He's not attacking when he steps out to the sides. He's not throwing punches. Okay, so when he goes out, he's coming back in the middle, and when he comes back in the middle, that's when he's going to plant his feet, and that's when he's going to start firing. And Linares did time him beautifully. He waited till he came back in the middle, and he caught him before he could get his feet set, and he was somewhat squared up. I don't even think the punch was a devastating punch. I think it was a real sharp, sneaky punch. I don't even think Lomachenko was hurt. I just think he was caught off guard. He couldn't brace himself, and he was surprised. And basically that's what you got to do. It's easier said than done. It's like trying to get around Nolan Ryan's fastball. You know it's coming. You know he's going to throw it. You know it's going to be 100 miles an hour. You got to time it. And not everyone can time it. But there's guys that can time it. There are a few special fighters out there that can time it. Linares was one of them. And another one is Mikey Garcia. We'll get to that later in the breakdown. But I thought Lomachenko, I'm not going to say he's one-dimensional, he's predictable, but he is kind of a pattern fighter. And he does repeat the same attack patterns. He goes side to side, does those pivots, and when he pivots, as you said, Eric, he predominantly pivots to the right side. He pivots out to the right side. And I think a real skilled fighter can collect that data and pick these things up. Like I said, easier said than done. But the higher up in competition he goes, guys are going to be able to pick up on these little tells that he has. Now let's get to some of the positives. I loved how he was actually sitting down on shots. He looked like he was really hurting Linares, snapping his head back, whereas in other fights he was just touching guys, really not looking like he was committed to turning these shots over and really hurting the guy. Whereas before, in other fights, like I said, he looked like he was just trying to score points. This fight, he looked like he was trying to make a statement. He was trying to hurt Linares. But after he got hit with that right hand, he started getting more defensive. Then Linares started getting a little more confident. And that's when Linares started actually putting shots together. And then he did land an occasional left hook. But early on, as you said, he wasn't throwing that left hook when Lomachenko was pivoting out to his right. And he would have definitely walked right into that left hook if Linares timed him right. But that punch in the 10th round was a beautifully, perfectly placed punch. Caught him, right in the solar plexus, took the wind right out of him. There was no way he was going to recover from it. He tried, he couldn't. But I will say this: I thought this fight was very competitive. I had Lomachenko up 86-84, and that first round was a swing round. I easily could have given it to Linares if I wanted to. Then the fight would have been even. 86-84 for Linares, that's kind of a stretch to me. I could see 85-85. I could see it being maybe even up into the point of the stoppage. But with that being said, I think Linares did show some weaknesses from Lomachenko, or not even going to say weaknesses, some things that can be done that would be effective against Lomachenko. Let's put it that way. And I think Mikey Garcia is a better fighter than Linares, and I think he could exploit some of those weaknesses or some of those things that are available. Same things that Linares was able to exploit. I think Mikey Garcia could definitely do the same thing, because Lomachenko is a mid-range guy. If you keep him on the outside, you saw how effective Linares was with the straight right hand from a distance. Saw how Linares was effective when he got up close and he was landing good body shots. So game plan number one, rule number one in the game plan, I should say, get him out of that mid-range area. You got to be all the way in or all the way out against this guy. And you know when this guy is going out, just like Bernard Hopkins knew when Jean Pascal was going back out to reset, to come back in for another ambush, you know if you follow him, he's not going to punch you back. So when he's on defense, getting ready to reset, he's not one of those guys that's going to stand there and use his upper body movement, uses shifting the shoulders or dipping and ducking at the waist and then coming back up with a shot. You know when he goes back out there, you follow him, you can touch him without getting countered, because that's basically what he does. When he goes back out, he's totally defense. So he's either all offense or all defense. There's not a quick transition, and from defense to offense and offense to defense, with the exception of him being fast on his feet. But again, he's taking himself out of position and having to put himself back in, which most ambush fighters do, and they rely on that element of explosive surprise, being able to come back in and you not being ready for them because they're so quick. But if you can get ahead of those movements and anticipate those movements and already prepare yourself and start your offense before they get to that spot, so that's where the timing comes in, then you can get around on that on their fastball, basically. And if you get when they come in and you smother them, then you could kind of stifle their offense a little bit, not allow them to get things working, or you could try to keep them on the outside. Mikey Garcia, even though he's not the tallest guy in the world, he's really effective fighting on the outside, throwing those straight shots right down the middle. As I thought he fought Adrian Broner beautifully from the outside. I think that's what won him the fight. But then we've also seen him, against Salido, get right in there with Salido and grind it out with Salido. And he was hurting Salido, knocked him down a few times. So I think Mikey Garcia may not be as quick as Lomachenko, but I think he's more versatile. I think he's a little bit more cerebral, and I think he's a better counterpuncher. I think that fight is very, very interesting. And based off of this, I favor Mikey Garcia even more than I did originally before this fight. So Lomachenko definitely is a marvel to watch. Definitely a phenom when it comes to hand speed, foot speed, and he's definitely got great balance, and he's in total control of his body. Don't get me wrong. He looks like he knows what he's in control, and he's never off balance, or he's never really doing things that he doesn't want to do in there. So he's everything is calculated and it's perfectly planned and placed when it comes to the offense. But will that offense work against someone who can get a read on it and pick up on the movement and time him properly and get their punch going before he even starts his? So if you punch with him, you can force him into not being as active, because if you notice when Linares punched with him, he didn't finish the combination. He would, he wasn't reeling off those 3 or 4 punch combinations. If you stand there and let him throw those 3 or 4 punch combinations, and you don't punch in between those combinations, then yeah, he'll throw 3 or 4 or 5 punches. But when you punch with him, he'll probably only get off 1 or 2 of them, and then he'll get occupied with what you're doing, and he'll go on defense. He's not going to catch and shoot or slip and shoot, because when he's in there, his main goal is he's worried about what he's getting off. And if you get something off, then you're going to force him to stop, reset, maybe go back out there and come back in again. You try to spring that ambush attack on you once again. So all in all, I thought this was a great fight. I thought Linares looked good. I thought this fight was competitive. I thought this fight was still on the table before the stoppage occurred. But that punch was a beautiful punch, and we have to give Lomachenko credit for it. It was really a highlight reel knockout, and I think that Lomachenko moves on, and it's impressive him going up in weight. I don't care what anyone says. Linares is definitely a top fighter at lightweight. Is he up there with Mikey Garcia? Probably not, but he's right there with Robert Easter, I would say. And I think Lomachenko definitely proved now that he could be number one or arguably behind Mikey Garcia. These two guys are the best in the lightweight division, and it's inevitable that they're going to have to meet someday. I don't want to look past Robert Easter, but I think Mikey Garcia will handle Robert Easter. I think he will unify two of the titles, and I think that this fight with Lomachenko has to get made at some point. I think it's a no-brainer. Hopefully they can get it done. But great performance from both guys, and Lomachenko was the better man.
I think that I tell you what, man. I think that this was the best I've seen Jorge Linares look in a long time. I think he really had his heart in this fight. And I think he had the fact that 4 people had put on Lomachenko already. So that was a big deal too. Robert, what were your thoughts on this fight?
Wow, I don't know if I can add much because Joe did such a wonderful breakdown. I mean, that was outstanding, Joe. I felt like I was watching the fight with you last night.
Thank you, brother.
Because I had the fight scored even at the time of the stoppage. I thought Linares was giving Lomachenko more trouble than anybody else ever has, and you need to be hired by Robert Garcia. You need to go work in the Mikey Garcia camp. You need to point all this stuff out to them because that is the perfect breakdown for Mikey Garcia to beat Lomachenko. Man, I want this fight to happen tomorrow. I've never heard a better breakdown, but you pointed out, both of you pointed out everything that I could have covered because for the first time in Lomachenko's career, he was actually in a competitive fight where if it would have went the full 12 rounds, it was not guaranteed that he was going to win the decision. Wow. Get the contract ready. Let's get that fight going right now. I can't wait. Outstanding.
I still think he beats Mikey Garcia even after what we saw last night, man. I think that, he's just got too many ways to win. But I tell you what, that's a fight I want to see. I mean, that's definitely a fight I want to see. I mean, that to me is the best fight right now in boxing. It just is. I mean, who doesn't? After that, for what we saw last night, who doesn't want to see that fight?
Now, is Mikey signed to fight Easter yet? Is that official?
I don't think it's official yet. I don't think it's official. But,
okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's fighting him in New York. I'm hearing he's fighting him. I think I heard like they're trying to make a deal, but I think it's going to be out west. And if it's out west, there's no chance Easter's going to win that fight. There's no way.
I don't think
decision out there. That's just a silly move, Easter, honestly.
But
I think Mikey will beat him.
But I'm wondering, guys, if the Easter fight is not signed yet. If you're Mikey Garcia, do you skip Robert Easter and go straight after Lomachenko?
Oh no! You go. Robert Easter is an easy fight to make. It's a no-brainer. So then you have two belts going into negotiations with Loma. That'll entice Loma to kind of maybe concede in certain areas.
All right.
So would you say that Lomachenko, where is he pound for pound?
I'm not a big pound for pound guy.
Where would he be?
Oh, I'm sorry, Robert. He was asking me that question. I apologize. You go ahead. Go ahead and answer, Robert. I'm sorry.
Before Saturday, Eric, I had Lomachenko number one. After last night, I don't know if he's earned the number one status, because Linares gave him more trouble than probably what he should have. Because if you're the number one pound for pound guy, you're supposed to dominate almost everybody you fight. And I think Jorge Linares showed enough chinks in Lomachenko's armor to now question whether he should be the number one pound for pound person. And I'm one that don't really go by the pound per pound stats. So I really don't know who you put up there, but I don't think Lomachenko earned that status after last night's performance. Yes, he did good, but I think Linares showed enough weaknesses where guys like Mikey Garcia should sign the contract immediately.
Yeah, and I'm Jason just said in the chat that Ring TV has announced it or whatever, and I'm looking at Ring TV now. It says they agree. Mikey Garcia, Robert Easter agree to a deal on July 28th for a fight in LA.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right. Okay.
So, yeah,
Thank you, Jason.
Good job, Jason. And he can do all the research because he's unemployed. All right. So
I love it.
Well, Eric, he doesn't have to work. Remember, Al Heyman pays him quite well.
He gets a stipend. He gets a stipend from Al Heyman for all the PR work he does.
All right, let's talk about the HBO card here. Saddam Ali versus Jaime Munguia for the WBO junior middleweight title. Friend of the show, Saddam Ali did not fare well last night. Jaime Munguia completely dismantled him via TKO in the fourth round. Munguia dropped him 4 times in the fight. The size, I mean, you know what this reminded me? This reminded me of Joey Gamache and Oscar De La Hoya. You remember that fight where he came in and he looked like it was like a heavyweight versus a lightweight, man, or a light heavyweight?
This was painful to watch.
Bad.
This was so sad. This was sad.
This was bad, man. I mean, it was like, I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. He knocked him down every round. He had him hurt every round. And how could you not feel good for Munguia, though? I mean, think about it. Just a few weeks ago, he was getting denied for, to fight Triple G. And I mean, he came out of this in such a great standing. Now he's champion. He's 154-pound champion. I mean, hey, man, you got to feel good for him, man. So he went from one bad situation to a really great situation.
I love what he said after the fight, Eric. He said, I want to thank the Nevada State Athletic Commission for denying me the chance to fight Triple G because now I'm the world champion.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they were talking last night. Roy Jones said something about, I would like to see him fight Munguia versus fight, Martirosyan last week. Maybe we got to pump the brakes on that a little bit here. I think we got to pump the brakes on that a little because he's a good fighter. Munguia is a really good fighter, great prospect. He ain't ready for Triple G, son. I mean, Saddam Ali.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Mean, come on, he would have got dismantled. And the best thing that ever happened to that kid was getting denied there, because if he went through with that fight, that kid's not the same after that fight. His career is off in a completely different direction, man. So,
let me ask one quick question, and this is taking nothing away from Munguia, and this is with all due respect to Saddam Ali.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you this, guys: you take any junior middleweight champion out there, would that not have been the same result against Saddam Ali? Wouldn't Jermell Charlo have done the same thing?
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't have Jared Hurd done the same thing to Saddam Ali?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say another thing too. And Golden Boy did not do Saddam Ali any favors by having him fight this man yesterday. This was a horrible matchup for him.
I don't know what they were on.
Yeah, and if you're going to and again, Saddam Ali probably has no business fighting at junior middleweight anyways. But if you're gonna get him a title defense, a Liam Smith matchup would have been perfect for him. That's a very winnable fight for him. Liam Smith he's not the fastest guy in the world. He's easy to hit. He's not the biggest hitter in the world.
Yep.
He's not the quickest guy in the world. That's a winnable fight. So you get him that one fight, maybe get him another big money fight against someone else at there. And then if he loses, you drop him down. And Eric Gomez even said when Ali eventually loses, so he kind of let the cat out the bag. They didn't expect him to have a long reign at 154. When he What other promoter would ever say, "Oh, when he eventually loses"? You never hear any promoter ever say that about a fighter. That's got to be unprecedented?
No, you don't.
In my opinion. Have you ever heard a promoter ever say that?
Competitive,
No.
how competitive guys do you think Munguia now will be at 154 against Charlo, Hurd, and people like that if he's given the opportunity to fight them?
I don't know. I tell you what, man.
That's a good question.
Because I think Charlo beats him. I really do. I think Charlo beats him. I think Hurd, I think Hurd might be. I think he's a young kid. He's a young guy. I mean, you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me a lot of when Anthony Joshua won the title for the first time, and you're looking at a kid who doesn't have all the skills there. He's got a lot of talent, but he still needs he's still got to have a long way to go. You know what's worse about Golden Boy matching this guy up with Saddam Ali? Is Saddam Ali signed a contract with Golden Boy, re-signed with them at one point. And this is at a point where everybody was going to PBC and Al Heyman and everybody like that, looking for new promoters and everything. And he decided to stay with Golden Boy because he was loyal to Golden Boy. And this is how they treat him. This is who they put him in there. I mean, that's a horrible matchup. I don't care if he wanted to fight or not. He's not taking that fight. It's bad,
But this kid is very heavy-handed. He's 6 feet. He's a big, tall guy. And you know what I liked about him? I will say this. He wasn't a guy that really opened up wide with his shots. He kept his shots nice and tight, short, compact. Didn't, always had his balance. Didn't like throw haymakers in there. This guy was like a sniper, Munguia. He threw the right hand, the real short over the top, boom. Left hook, boom. He was a really technically sound fighter offensively. I mean, throws feints, so he's not just a crude slugger in there. He can fight a little bit. He puts his shots together, places his shots well, and he's just a big, strong, quick, explosive kid. So,
but now he's no longer a prospect. He's a champion with 29 knockouts. So got to find people that he can fight.
Yeah. So do you let him develop? Do you get him a couple?
You have to. If you're a promoter, you have to. Yeah.
Would it make sense to throw him in there with the Charlo now or Jared Hurd now? Right at this point?
No.
Probably not.
I would give him maybe 2 or 3 more fights before even thinking about that.
And Golden Boy's not going to do that. They're going to have him on those cards where he fights nobody and just develops him up, man. And that's honestly, that's the right move. That's the right move right now. I mean, I would put him on HBO again, put him against somebody who's not, who he's going to beat. But you know what the worst part of last night was? Is that Saddam Ali was landing clean shots. He landed some clean combinations on that guy, and that guy didn't move.
I mean, you could still throw him in there with a guy like Martirosyan too. I don't know if that was talked about.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's not a bad fight. That's not a bad fight for him.
But I like what I saw, man. Like I said, I mean, you see that you definitely see flaws in his game, but he's a young kid. You know what I mean? Like I said, he's he's prospect level. Now he's champion level. You know what I mean? So you got to bring this guy along slow before he's ready for, unifications and stuff like that. And again, he just got the belt yesterday, and here we are talking.
Yeah, he's only 21.
Right. We're talking about.
He's only 21, so keep that. Yeah.
He's going to fight Charlo next, blah, blah, blah. No, I mean, they still got to go and develop this guy and everything. I mean, he's got the good.
He's got a fan-friendly style. You can build off that.
Yeah, for sure. On the undercard there on HBO was Ray Vargas versus Azat Hovhannisyan for the WBC Super Bantamweight title. Ray Vargas wins a unanimous decision over Hovhannisyan, 118-110, 117-111, 116-112. I thought the fight was a little closer, but it is what it is. Anybody got anything they want to add to this, Beeb?
I liked what Hovhannisyan did. He gave Vargas fits. I had a 115-113 for Vargas, but I very easily could have seen a draw. I thought this is the first time I've seen Vargas where he was actually in trouble for parts of the fight. This was a very good. I didn't expect much out of this, but it turned out to be better than what I thought. Go ahead, Beeb.
Hovhannisyan was kind of awkward when he got into that, kind of fought out of that crouch. He got down low. and then he would just like throw the punches like up over the top, like almost throwing that right hand from his back pocket coming over the top with it. So he's kind of awkward. He came forward, and he was just a real determined guy in there, and he was walking through a lot of Vargas's shots too. You know what I'm saying? Vargas had problems when he couldn't keep him on the outside. Vargas could not deal with him being in his chest all night. So, Vargas had to step back. He had to really get on his jab, and he really had to create space. I thought this fight could have honestly could have gone either way. I really thought that it was that close. I really did. And I saw a totally different fight than the judges. And I kind of thought, to be honest with you, Hovhannissian possibly could have eked it out. I really do. I mean, I have no problem with Vargas getting a decision, but I don't think he won that wide. I don't think anyone thinks he won that wide. But with that being said, I think Hovhannissian definitely made a good account of himself, and I think a lot of people are going to be interested in seeing him fight again, especially on HBO, possibly on another one of these cards.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. We have another set of rankings from Robert Palmer. If you go after the show and check Ringside Reporter, click on the rankings, you'll have the all the rankings that he puts together, and Robert does a great job with this, and he spends a lot of time on this. Let's talk about it here for a few minutes here. The one that caught my eye here, at 135 pounds, the championship is vacant, but he has Lomachenko as number 1, Garcia number 2, followed by Jorge Linares, Terry Flanagan, and Raimundo Beltran to round out the top 5. I would at least have Robert Easter in the top 5, just my opinion. I like Lomachenko at number 1. I like Garcia at number 2. Those are the 2 best ones. But I think Easter beats Linares. I really do. I think Easter beats Linares or Beltran.
I think he beats Beltran. I'm not sure if he beats Linares, though. I'll be honest.
But I think those are pretty. I think those are pretty strong. At 130 pounds, we got Gervonta Davis as number 1, Miguel Berchelt number 2, Francisco Vargas, and Alberto Machado. Now, the one that that really caught my eye here was the 160 pounds. All right, so the undisputed champion here is Triple G, WBC, WBA, and IBF. Billy Joe Saunders, the lone holdout there. Billy Joe Saunders number 1, Danny Jacobs number 2, Charlo number 3, Ryota Murata as number 4, and Sergey Derevyanchenko is number 5. Do you agree with Murata being ranked that high?
No.
Some people are really high on the kid, but I think right now, I don't know. I would probably say no at this point right now.
Yeah, I would too. And
I've seen.
Go ahead.
I've seen his last 2 fights that ESPN has showed from Japan, and I don't see anything special. I don't think he needs to be ranked that high. I really don't. I need to see him in against better competition, to be honest with you.
And we have, let's see here. And I heard this is an article I read that Triple G, Tom Loeffler, was talking about. He said the idea of him going to Japan to fight Murata really interests them. Listen, if that fight happens, I gave him one with Martirosyan. All right, I'll give you one because it wasn't your fault. No, Canelo called in sick that day. It wasn't your fault, but I don't want to see that fight. I don't want to see him and Murata. But let me tell you this.
No, Eric.
Out of the top 15 here at middleweight.
Go ahead, Eric. Sorry.
Out of the top 15 here of 160 pounds, no Canelo Alvarez. No Canelo Alvarez at 154. How dare you?
I don't care.
At 154. That's it. And the rationale was, he says, we don't do catch weights. And hey, maybe he doesn't do PED fighters either. So there you go. So definitely,
I agree.
Definitely worth a look.
I'll say this one more time about Triple G. If you don't look, I'm not stupid. I know the Canelo fight is going to happen. There's just too much money to you can't ignore that. Although, frankly, in my opinion, you need to fulfill your obligations. I don't think Canelo deserves a big payday after getting his butt suspended. I would fulfill all my obligations before I talked about going to Japan or fighting a Canelo. But I'm not stupid. I know the Canelo fight will probably be next. But, you know, if you're a champion, you need to live up to your obligations and fight your mandatories. And that includes a Jamel Charlo and a Danny Jacobs. They are now two of your mandatory challengers. You cannot ignore your obligations. If you're going to hold all these belts, you have to live up to the agreements that you've made to hold those belts.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But I mean, in fairness, you know, there's been champions over, but look at like Vladimir Klitschko when he would go around and fight the mandatories. Nobody wanted to watch that. You know, I mean, because some of the mandatories you don't even know about. You know, now these mandatories.
I think these mandatories are pretty decent fighters, though. I think that's what you were just about to say. Yeah. I think these are good.
I think so too. I think so too, for sure. All right, let's go to the phones. And remember, just keep it keep it to your point, because we always have a lot of callers and stuff like that. So just kind of keep to your point, keep it concise, and then we'll go from there. So, and also remember, there's other callers on the line.
We want to make time for everybody, folks. So
we don't want to make time for you, though, Robert. So there you go. Everybody.
Oh, there you go, Aaron.
Here. 805, you're live. 805.
Hey, Nacho.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Nacho.
Not much.
As far as the fights last night, I was pleasantly surprised by how Jorge Linares was able to make Lomachenko almost look human again, especially once he was able to kind of figure out if he got in the mid-range and was able to hit him with the straight right, that opened up everything else for him. And when he hit him with that right, when he had his hands down and he just put him on his butt, it was like, oh, like at that point, that's when the fight, like, you know, the tide had turned a little bit. And from then on, I thought Linares did a really good job of, you know, putting combinations together and not letting Lomachenko get off. And his corner was really imploring him to get off first, not let Lomachenko try and throw 3-4 punches in his combinations. They were asking him to try and throw at the same time or before even Lomachenko got started, which I thought was key because that's what helped him get off and hit Lomachenko with a few combinations later on in the fight. But you got to give him credit. Like, I honestly did not see that body punch coming. And that was just a thing of beauty, how he was able to set up Linares and make him, you know, open up, and thought that he was going to go to the head. And as soon as he picked up his right arm, he was able to nail him right below the rib cage in the liver. And that was it. It was a good night. And I think it was a great fight, and I wouldn't mind seeing it. I wouldn't mind them doing it again. Hopefully, you know, if they get a chance, maybe each guy gets another fight beforehand, and then they do a rematch sometime down the line. As far as the HBO fights, Vargas, I thought Vargas did a good job. I mean, Hovhannissian was just a really tough-ass dude. Like, he took a lot of punishment, and he absorbed a lot of shots. The thing I don't like about Vargas is that he just does not commit to sitting down on his punches. He likes to throw and move too much. And I don't know what it is about him that he's not willing to stand there and just sit on his punches, because it seems like he never has his full power on his punches when he does that. It just seems like he's more concerned with getting off and moving, getting off and moving. I'd like to see him eventually, you know, sit down on his punches and actually put some weight behind them. That being said, I had him basically winning that fight 8-4. I didn't think that, you know, Hovhannissian won more than about 4 rounds. And Vargas, you know, did a good job, but I don't know what's next for him. I don't know what kind of an opponent they get for him at 22. It'll be interesting to see what he gets next. With Munguia and Ali, I told a lot of people, I've been watching Munguia for the last couple of years, like fighting on Mexican television, because they've shown some of his fights. And I was like, this kid looks like he's going to be a legit threat at some point or another because, you know, he's big, he's got talent, and he can take a pretty good shot. And they've gone the route of really giving him a lot of fights to get him experience and some seasoning. And I just kind of felt like Ali didn't really know, especially when you hear the quotes of his trainer and and Ali himself, both kind of being real dismissive of Munguia this entire week, acting like they weren't really worried about anything that he brought to the table. So I just felt like they were completely overconfident and they sold themselves short by doing that. And you saw the results. Munguia just went in there and wrecked Ali. And I honestly thought Andre Rozier and everyone else in his corner, they did a horrible job for Ali. They should have stopped that fight after the second round. That dude was out on his feet and he had no business going back out there. And they just kept throwing him back out there. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This kid's career is like, you're taking years off his career with the type of beating he was taking. And the fact that the referee was the one who finally stopped it at the end when he nailed him with that left hook and put him on his back, I was like, wow, it took you guys long enough to finally stop this fight. So I'd like to see Ali go back down to welterweight because he's definitely not a junior middleweight. If he would have beaten Liam Smith, I think he stays at 154. But after taking that beating he took last night, I hope he really does consider going back down to 147 to match up with guys who are a little more on his level. And as far as I know you guys probably haven't talked about it, but the Showbox card, I kept hearing all this hype about this Devin Haney kid, and I've heard about the gym wars he's had with like different fighters, and I was kind of curious to see what he really was. And I give the kid credit; he totally outclassed Menard, who was legitimately the best guy he's fought in his entire career so far. But I thought Menard and his corner did a horrible job. They didn't teach Menard how to cut the ring off. They didn't teach him how to try to hit this kid to the body. And basically, they just let Haney run around the ring, and they never at any point made him feel any kind of, you know, pressure or any kind of, intensity from Menard. It just seemed like Menard was following him the entire time. And you give the kid credit, he was able to outbox him. But I just thought they had a horrible game plan, and they never did anything to switch up what they were doing. And so I'd like to see the kid again. Hopefully he gets another step up fight against somebody who, you know, another name. But I thought, you know, he did a good job and everything. And yeah, that's
well,
that's
Nacho, since you've seen Munguia fight, who do you think would be next for him? They can't throw him in against a Hurd or Charlo. I don't think he's ready.
No, he's definitely not ready for those.
What do you
I
do
honestly
now?
think, I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to get somebody who's probably like a top 25, top 30 type of guy, as, you know, the next tier below the champs. And you got to get the kid some seasoning because he just got with Oscar De La Hoya's old trainer, Robert Alcazar, and he told a couple of the members of the press that he had only been training Munguia for a month before last night's fight. So he said that to him, ideally, he'd like to have at least 2 or 3 training camps with Munguia before you saw like what the finished product was going to be. Because you can see the kid has talent. It's just a question of adding, you know, a consistent jab and some wrinkles and just different looks. I wouldn't mind seeing him against guys like Sam Eggington, maybe a Tony Harrison, you know, a Charles Hadley.
Yeah.
You know, guys of that ilk, guys who have a name, have experience, you know, somebody that will give them rounds a different look. Although I kept hearing this rumor, I don't know if it's true, but somebody was talking about that Margarito was honestly being talked about as somebody he was going to fight next. And I'm like, why do you guys want to do that?
Yeah,
it's like taking a horse out to the back and shooting it at this point with Margarito. He has no business
don't want that
fighting
kid.
anymore. So,
That's
yeah,
funny.
exactly. So I think you guys gotta. I mean, not you guys. Golden Boy should throw him against guys of that ilk. Someone who has a name, someone who has experience. Somebody who's not the top dude in the division, and get him some more seasoning. Because I agree with Alcazar. You got to give the kid at least 2-3 solid training camps and step up fights before you put him in there against a Charlo or a Hurd, because he's not officially ready. Even though he has 29 fights, he still needs a lot of work, I think, before you put him in there. And I think some of the guys I mentioned would be good matchups because they're veterans with experience who would give him a different look and, let him get better.
Is Munguia signed with Golden Boy?
I think they co-promote him now.
That's what I thought.
The company that usually works with Top Rank. Yeah, he's with Zanfer.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
he's not signed to Golden Boy. Yeah.
Right.
I think what happened was that they reached out to Zanfer because they have a good relationship, because Zanfer has always provided a lot of unknown Mexican prospects and fighters to both Golden Boy and Top Rank. And so that's why I think Munguia was able to get the shot at Ali yesterday, because they have a good working relationship with Zanfer. So, but yeah, he's officially signed to Zanfer. He has no contract with Golden Boy or anyone else.
Sense. And I like some of your names, those names would be good. So okay,
yeah. I think you got to give him a legitimate chance to, get some training camps with Alcazar. Let Alcazar teach him a little bit more, add some more wrinkles to his game, and then you throw him in there against a Charlo or a Hurd, because at that point he'll be ready.
Right.
Yeah. So
Jason in the chat, Nacho.
That's all I got, guys.
Nacho, hang on.
Okay, good. Good call, Nacho.
Hang on.
Thanks.
Nacho, hold on. Jason in the chat
wants to know. Hold on.
Yeah, Jason in the chat wants to know if what were your thoughts about the matchmaking with Saddam Ali and what's his face, Munguia?
Munguia.
What for Saddam Ali as far as the matchmaking?
Yeah, he said that something about you like Golden Boy or something like that, so he wanted to know what you thought about the matchmaking. I think he's just giving you nonsense.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm sure he's just fucking with me, but no, I agree with you guys. They did a horrible job of dismissing Munguia, and you have to blame Andre Rozier, who's Ali's trainer, because like I said, he was on a couple of the boxing websites pretty much being dismissive of who Munguia was and what he brought to the table. And Ali basically agreed with him. I mean, there's an article that I read on Boxing Scene where Andre Rozier says something like the only way that Munguia beats him is, or people who thought that Munguia would beat Ali were smoking crack or some shit like that. And so they pretty much were dismissive of him. And I thought that was a bad idea, because you can't just assume that a guy is being thrown in there for no reason.
No.
You have to be respectful of the guys that you're being I just feel like they were just completely overconfident. And there it is. So Saddam Ali's trainer said, "You must be on crack if you think Munguia wins."
Wow.
That's what he told Boxing Scene a couple of days ago. So they were just totally dismissive of Munguia. So at the end of the day, Ali's trainer and Ali's team did him no favors. And that has nothing to do with Golden Boy. Golden Boy asked them if they wanted to still fight on the date, and Ali said so after the fight. He said he didn't want to lose the date because he's going into Ramadan soon, and he was going to have to wait till probably September to fight again. So, at the end of the day, it's not Golden Boy's job to protect Ali. Their job is to get him an opponent for the fight, especially considering Liam Smith fell out a week and a half ago. And they offered Munguia, if Ali's trainer Rozier had done his homework and saw, what I saw, they would have never taken the fight. They would have said, "No way, we're not taking on this guy. Like he's not what we're signing up for." So
right.
as far as I'm concerned, they got what they deserve. You dismiss the kid and you act like he was going to be easy work, then you got what you deserved last night.
All right.
There
you go. Good take, man. I love it.
All right.
Good take, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
It seems like Nacho doesn't defend. Nacho tells the truth. I mean, if he thought it was a good matchup, he tells you. If it
No,
wasn't
and
a good matchup,
he's absolutely right.
Yeah, he was absolutely right on.
That's how we do it at Beeb Industries too.
You know, I tell you, Munguia fights for Zanfer, and Zanfer has a lot of good fighters. A lot of good fighters come out of there.
Yes,
really
yes.
do. And a lot of you know, a lot of good fighters come out of there, man. So good stuff.
And they're smart, and they're smart too because they have great relationships with everybody. They've done a lot of work with Top Rank too. You know.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, because they're a smaller promotional company. You know, they do a lot of fights in Mexico and stuff. And but I mean, they got a lot of good fighters, man. A lot of good
Marquez
fighters.
Marquez was co-promoted by them.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
All right, let's go back to the phones. But let's go to the phones. And Robert, I'm going to ask you this question. Where do you think the best callers as a whole come from?
Ohio.
Right, Beeb?
Oh my God, this is a trick question. This must be an Ohio call, right?
I don't know. I'm just saying, you know, 614, you're live.
Yeah, it's an Ohio call. I knew you were doing that. Good evening.
You already know.
Yeah.
Ohio.
Yeah.
That's right.
What's up,
up,
guys? What's up? Love the show.
How you doing, man?
All right.
The last caller. What was the last caller's name?
Nacho.
Nacho.
Great caller, man. Great caller.
He's a great caller, man. I don't know what Jason's talking about.
Going around that said Saddam Ali was set up, and I disagree. What I felt like happened was a cherry pick that went wrong. I don't feel like he was set up. I felt like they underestimate. What's his name?
Munguia.
Munguia. They underestimated Munguia. I predicted Munguia stop Ali before the fight started.
You sure did. I saw your post. Yeah, I saw your post.
He was a bigger guy. Ali, if you look at Munguia's page, his box rate, everybody he has knocked out had more than 3 knockouts. They didn't have been knocked out more than 3 times. I know the team looked at this, and they didn't believe in his power. And I looked at it like, I knew he had power. And you knock out 30, well, I think it's 24 grown professional fighters, you have power, okay?
Yes, he does.
Ali was holding the belt hostage. He should have vacated the belt. I said that when he beat Miguel Cotto. I told people that he was going to beat Miguel Cotto when they fought. A lot of people were saying, yeah, you're crazy. But it was designed for Miguel Cotto to go out on top. He won that belt and wasn't supposed to win that belt. So I felt like whoever he was going to face that had decent power in that weight class was going to beat him. He should have gave that belt up and went back to 147. He should have did. But it was a cherry pick. This is so funny. After he lose, they say they feel like it was a setup. Doesn't it sound familiar to y'all guys? Doesn't it sound like a Manny Pacquiao versus Jeff Horn, who went to Australia to fight a guy that only had 17 professional fights because you was avoiding Terrence Crawford? And as soon as the fight over, and by the way, I scored the fight for Jeff Horn. He won it. It wasn't a robbery. We can debate this all day. I scored.
I had it a draw.
And people were screaming robbery. They were screaming robbery. And I said,
I know.
It was a cherry pick. It was a cherry pick that went wrong. Yeah, how you like those apples? Huh?
That's right. That's right, man.
Now you want to scream robbery. Manny Pacquiao, you can tell, you have to say so. You're one of the pound for pound best fighters. You have to say so of who you want to fight. You knew this guy only had 17 professional fights, and you was willing and comfortable to go to Australia to fight the guy. So I feel like I was set up. I used to love Manny Pacquiao. I lost respect for him. Every time he lose, he just don't want to give credit, and he have an excuse.
Horrible.
I was sick of it. I was like, dude, take the L. You was in a competitive fight. Even if y'all said he got robbed in that fight. I don't want to jump topics. But even if y'all say he got robbed, he still was in a competitive fight with a guy who only had 17 fights. You can't twist it. And another thing, Eric, I listened to you earlier. I'm glad you started to pay attention about the Triple G. I've seen a Triple G was actually trying to fight Maguho. I can't even say his name.
Murata? You talking about Murata, the Japanese dude?
Murata?
Yeah.
No, Munguia.
Munguia.
Yeah.
Munguia.
Oh, Munguia.
Yeah.
Munguia. Triple G, I made a post a couple of days ago. It was kind of funny. And I said, Triple G, I said, this is the face. It was a meme. This is the face you make when you're thinking about fighting the winner, Ali and Munguia, you know his name.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that Triple G actually was looking for him as an opponent. So I was just like, wow, I made a little joke, and he really was looking at him as an opponent.
Yeah.
That bothers me. So when Eric said he's not going to give him a pass this time, I respect that. It's not that people think you're biased or nothing, but you got to call BS when you see it.
Sure.
You are one of the best middleweight champions you're one of the best middleweights. I like Triple G. You can find fights in your weight class. You don't have to bring people up. And Ali was in the same position as Vargas Monterosa. Can you imagine if Vargas Monterosa beat Triple G? He's lamb. He's a slaughter. Anybody can beat him. If he beats Triple G by decision, you can name anybody in the top 15. They're beating Vargas Monterosa in the middleweight.
Oh, of course they are.
I don't like. That's one of the reasons why I don't like when you got American, or not even American, but guys coming up fighting for those titles and win them. If you win them, cool. Vacate like Mikey did. Mikey went up, won the title, and what did he do? He went back down and gave the belt up. That's how you do it. Don't sit there and fight in the weight class you know you're not comfortable in. So I don't feel like it was a setup with Ali. I really don't. I feel like they was cherry picking, and like they said, they felt like they was comfortable. That's the reason why that fight happened. Who is this guy? We never heard of him. And that's the danger. Like the Jeff Horns, you never heard of him. And as hardcore boxing fans, we get so caught up in the moment because we never heard of a fighter. So therefore, we pick the known fighter. You in trouble when you do that.
Yep. So
that we going through that. But other than that, another thing before I close out. Roy Jones, I call him out as his contradicting. Oh my God. I praise Roy Jones sometimes, but I also call him on this BS. He last week when Triple G was fighting, he was getting into it with Jeff Lamke a little bit because Jeff Lamke was trying to tell him Vargas was the better pick for the fight, and Roy Jones was like, no, he was better off fighting his mandatory or a bigger guy's middleweight. So Roy Jones said, I want to see him fight bigger middleweights. I don't want to see him fight smaller guys that come up. This is what Roy said. Now this week, you see Ali getting beat up by what's his name? And Roy Jones say, now this is who I would have wanted to see. This is who should have been in the ring. You contradicted. Are you serious? This dude's at 154, and now he's beating up on the smaller Ali, and you talking about I want to see him with Triple G. That's the bullshit, man.
Well, he wants to cash that HBO check. That's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, but like I said, he usually go back and forth with them. But I just call him on his bullshit. Like, as soon as y'all see him, Ali getting beat down by this guy, Triple G. And if y'all paid attention at the post fight, did you notice Max Kellerman was asking the fighter, Triple G wanted to fight you, so who do you want to pick? It's like a subliminal message. I'm going to throw a name out there to you. I'm going to throw this name out here to you. I'm hoping you call him out. That was bullshit.
That was
serious
I
right
hate
now.
Kellerman. I
hope y'all caught on to that because I did.
Yep.
I know I caught it.
Yep.
And even Lampley, even Jim Lampley at the end of the show last night, he goes, well, Munguia knows how to say Golovkin. Really? It's like
it's silly to me, but it's BS. So I was just like, wow, they trying to set this one up right here. But I didn't feel like he was set up. You gonna have people say that. It is what it is. That's my call, guys, man. I'm definitely gonna listen to the show. I came in a little late.
Okay.
Ohio.
Well, good call,
appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Yep.
I told you guys the best calls come from Ohio. I'm not gonna do about it. It just is what it is. Just is what it is.
I'm gonna see if I can get him on Beeb Industry roster.
Hey, let me tell you this, Beeb. The Celtics suck. All right, they got lucky tonight.
They did.
Barely
Ghost of Larry Bird.
They're gonna win that series, brother. They're gonna win that series.
Shut up, Robert. You're always against Ohio. What's the matter with you?
funny too because I do love LeBron James, man. I do.
King James.
I respect
LBJ.
I respect the hell out of LeBron James. I'm not gonna lie.
The new LBJ. All right. So now we go to our the call we least look forward to every week.
All right, everybody.
He's a fucking mental case, is what he is.
Oh. How do you say that every time? Every time you say that, Robert, that's terrible.
Well, remember, I famously said, "Who the fuck is Chef Horn?" So, you know.
I noticed the weekend you don't got to do laundry around the house. I mean, isn't your wife letting you use the computer and shit, Eric? You need to keep up on the boxing news. So come on. I need to keep up with the boxing news for you because your wife won't let you use the computer. Come on, man. Come on.
Hey, it's Mother's Day. You have to pay attention to her today.
Yeah. So one day of the year.
Yeah, he's been fantasizing about top rank ring girls. That's what he's been doing.
It's not a bad thing to fantasize about.
Oh my God.
Guys, what was I gonna say? Look, did you hear fucking Nacho? That's why I asked you because he's always defending Golden Girl. He's fucking blaming Andre Rozier when his fucking promoter is the one that made that fight. There's no way in hell you're supposed to give a small 154-pounder a guy that could be fighting at 160. That makes no fucking sense.
In all fairness,
the trainer does have input.
Yeah, but he just completely exonerated Eric Gomez and Oscar. He said, no. Golden Boy has no responsibility here. Did you hear that? Nacho said that, right?
Of course they have responsibility, but
that's what Nacho said. That's what I'm responding to. So, am I saying anything wrong? I mean, they have most responsibility, but the trainer's not the matchmaker. Trainer's not the one fucking. And Golden Boy, they run their ship like a fucking slave ship. They don't just they don't give their fighters like 3 or 4 options like Al Heyman. They just tell them this is a good fight. You should take it. They probably told him you have to take this guy, otherwise you're going to be fucked.
Nah,
why else would he take that fucking kid? That guy's like a fucking. That guy looked like fucking Adonis Stevenson's fucking size.
He was a big guy. No, but in all fairness, though, I mean, he could have declined.
Did you see his dad? As soon as the camera panned to his dad like had to look like damn. He had to get up and walk up to the stage. Like I feel bad for them people. They got set up for real. And if Munguia ends up signing with Golden Boy, we will know why this fight was made because that could happen. They could do a co-entry, you know. That he could sell big tickets for them.
Very well could be. Didn't De La Hoya pay for a bunch of money though for Canelo?
Like Eric, you were saying he has no chance against GGG. GGG's been hurt against fucking bums. Like he's been GGG got rocked by Gabe Rosado a few times. This kid is better than Rosado, isn't he?
Come on, man. No, he has no shot against Triple G.
Isn't he?
Man. Is he better than Rosado? Is this kid
not better than Rosado? Rosado went fucking 10 rounds with GGG. Isn't this kid better than Rosado, Beeb?
Is he better than Rosado now? Yeah.
Yeah, and GGG is older, right?
Yeah. You honestly think he beats Triple G?
Right. So this kid has a good chance. I think this kid will hurt GGG.
Come on, son.
You don't think you don't think this kid could hurt GGG? Am I talking nonsense?
I couldn't pick this guy. I couldn't pick this guy to be Triple G. No, I'm sorry. I want to help you out here, Jason. But I can't.
He's no chump.
No, I want to help you out here, but I can't, man. I can't.
Beeb doesn't even want to help you out.
This guy is better than this guy is better than Rubio, Macklin, Wade, Willie Monroe. This kid is better than all those bums. That's for sure.
Son.
Boy, those guys got destroyed though. Even if he was better than them, right? That means he would still lose. He just wouldn't lose as fast. That's all.
This guy sounds like he's on coke.
GG looks soft to me, just like Linares. He's at the end of the rope, and he's about to be done soon.
Oh, son, you're crazy.
He's become a businessman, just like Canelo.
You're crazy.
2 years ago, he was calling Canelo a businessman, and now Abel Sanchez is making excuses about fighting the mandatory. Remember 2 years ago, he's like, I'm not a businessman, Max. If you want Big Drama Show, call me Max. Hey, Max, call me Big Drama Show. Now he's a businessman. I mean, that was 2 years ago. That wasn't even that long ago. Did you remember? Yeah. He used to say that about Canelo?
Yeah, well, if you hit the face for $20 million.
Now he doesn't want him to fight as mandatory. When did that happen?
When he's not making the money. Everybody tasted that Canelo money. Now he's going after it. It is what it is.
Is ticking. The clock is ticking.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
He made the same paycheck as Broner.
Who made this? What?
Broner's making bank compared to Broner and Gigi made the same purse.
Broner's from Cincinnati. What do you expect? We always get paid, son.
Broner sold 14,000 tickets. GGG sold like 4,000. And I guess that Broner is the one that needs promoted.
Always get paid, son.
Broner, did you see Eddie Hearn trying to beg Broner and Charlo to sign to him again?
Broner is a promoter. AB.
Also, Spence has already sold 10,000 tickets at the Star, the Cowboy facility, 5,000 to go.
He should. He should, man. That's his hometown.
Maybe another good.
They need to.
Well, it's a hometown fight. He deserves it, man.
Absolutely, man. Spencer's.
So he sold 12,000 in fucking Brooklyn. That's more than Lomachenko sold last night. Lomachenko sold 10,400. That was with one of the biggest fights of the year.
That was a good crowd. That was a good crowd last night. Yeah, for Lomachenko, that was a good crowd. Where were they fighting last night?
There should have been more.
Where were they at? Were they in MSG last night? Where were they?
Yeah, they were in MSG in the big room.
MSG, but the upper bowl was completely empty, like maybe 10% full.
Big room, man. Yeah, that was nice, man. That was a good
Doesn't
fight.
It seem like the Barclays crowd is way more livelier than MSG? MSG crowd seems more stiff and like older generation. Like the Barclays crowd is way more louder.
Yeah, I talked to a guy when I was at MSG. When I was at MSG, I talked to a guy over there. He said that Barclays, for whatever reason, it's crazy because it was crazy.
It's a better location.
Yeah, he said Barclays was he said it's a madhouse over there. He said it's great. He said the atmosphere is unbelievable. Yeah, they made it right in the middle of the freaking wherever they made it in the junction. Yeah, they say Brooklyn is great.
Hey, Beeb, what do you think would happen if Tank landed one of those vicious uppercuts on Loma's little jaw? What do you think would happen?
Nothing.
Like I said, man, Tank can punch. Tank's a problem. He's a problem.
Does he beat?
I think he can punch harder than Linares and Loma, right? He can punch harder than Linares and Loma, right?
Yes, I do think he can. Yeah.
And every time I say these kind of things, people act like this, like totally out of left field. But if he lands on Loma, like he was landing on Linares and Pedraza, there's going to be a problem. There's going to be some.
I would still favor. I would still favor Loma, but I don't think it's an easy fight like everyone thinks it is.
I think that's a simple fight.
Everyone thought last night was going to be a simple fight, and it wasn't. You know.
I don't know.
The Ward fight was supposed to be simple. Ward fight was supposed to be simple for the Crusher. Remember, everybody was saying Ward is going to get killed. This, that. Remember?
You did lose in the first one, though.
No, you didn't.
Yes, you did.
USA won, baby. USA 1-0, then 2-0, back to back.
I had Ward winning. The first fight.
Everybody except Beeb had Kovalev winning.
I'm in the minority, though.
It's kind of funny. Every time these Eastern European guys lose or struggle, they always have an excuse. Kovalev had the nuts on his belt line and his waistline, and Loma, when he lost to Salido, it was the nut excuse again. And the last night, you guys should go on Fight Hub and see. They were trying to lie about Linares' fight night weight. Loma's manager said Linares was around 152, and Linares was on stage, and he said, "Hell no, I'm not 152." And then Roberto Diaz piped up. He said he's 141, 142. He's never been above that. So Top Rank was trying to spread that lie that Linares is 152, and the video's on Fight Hub TV. It's called Bob Arum.
Didn't Bob Arum say after, what a stupid question that was?
Yeah, because the lie got exposed. Did you see the look on his face?
Yeah. Bob Arum, after the guy asked the question, and then they corrected him. Bob Arum's like, "What a stupid question that was." Bob is brutal.
The look on his face, he was steaming, dude. He was like, my whole plan blew up in my face because he was an hour earlier at the media scrum. He was telling Kevin Iole the guy was 15 pounds heavier when he was only 142 or something. So that's another excuse that goes down there. Another one. Loma tried to make another excuse. He said, "I hurt my hand in the second round. Maybe that helped." And I was like, if you hurt your hand, how is that going to help him drop you, really? Come on, man. I mean, that was...
Yeah, he walked right into that right hand.
I mean, these Top Rank guys, they're training on making these excuses after every bad win or every,
I don't think it was a bad win, though.
I thought it was a good win, but it wasn't as dominating as people like dick riders like Eric are making out to be.
Of course not. So how does you said that you think that Tank beats him? Who's Tank beat to make you think that?
Who did Joshua beat before he beat Vlad? Who did Spence beat before he beat Brooke?
We're not talking about that though. I'm talking about Tank.
Yeah,
what have you seen
but
in
your
Tank?
question doesn't make much sense because guys step up to the occasion all the time without not beating anybody before they step up to that
Just because you
level,
can't
right?
answer the question
That
doesn't
happens
mean
all
it
the
doesn't
time,
make
right?
sense.
Guys like you get seduced by Carl Moretti and Steve Kim's on the world and make guys like Lomas into the next Ali or Frazier. You know, that's what happens. And then the reality smacks you in the face, and the American kid comes up and breaks his face, and you're like, "Oh my God, what happened?"
You're the one always bringing up Steve Kim, son.
You're the one who I think you picked Cal Brook to beat Spence. I think don't be changing your pick now.
It's time to move on.
Yeah.
What do you? Yeah, Eastern Mikey's official guys at the Staples Center. Eric needs to catch up. I don't even know what he knows. He knows nothing about the boxing news. Come on.
Yeah, that's right. Because I work a job.
That's easy work.
It was easy work when you're on a
Wait, this is the weekend. You catching the news on the weekend? What are you talking about, dude? They just confirmed it like yesterday.
He's got Jason sends
what are you
me
working
about
on
50
the weekend?
texts. He texts me about 50 times a day with nonsense. And I'm like, this guy can't.
What did you say? Say that again. I can't hear you.
This guy cannot have a job. There's no possible way he's employed. Working
say that again, Eric. I can't hear you. Say that again.
Working to register McDonald's doesn't count, son. All right. So
if I work at McDonald's is busy, dude. McDonald's is busy, way busier than your job.
I'm fine.
You don't get breaks at McDonald's.
You sound like a man who speaks from experience.
Hey, what do you guys think? Stevenson, Jack, did you guys already make picks on that?
No, we haven't made picks on it yet.
No, not yet, but I think Jack wins.
I like Jack.
Yeah, I like Jack too.
Give me Jack.
I want him to pull a Munguia. That would be nice.
That title has been held hostage for way too long.
And Jack said his dream fight is Kovalev. So if he wins, I think he'll fight Kovalev right away.
I like that fight.
Yeah, I think he might beat Kovalev.
Yeah, I think I want to see Bivol.
I tell you what, man, I think Kovalev's going to have a tough time against Alvarez. He's fighting a lighter Alvarez next. That's going to be a good fight, man.
Yes, it is.
A real good fight.
Yes, it is.
Alvarez's defense is kind of suspect.
Yeah. Kovalev's defense is kind of suspect after getting knocked out. So
yeah, it is.
Not really. I mean, not really. He only got hurt by Ward. Nobody goes to the body like Ward. I don't think Alvarez is going to go to the body like Ward anyway.
I don't know, man.
But Linares, I was going to say, I wanted to give him credit. He kind of impressed me. He was landing a lot of punches on Loma. He made him look kind of human.
Well,
guys like Mariaga and Sosa, they were just in there they couldn't do anything. But Linares impressed me. But he's pretty old. He's been fighting for a while. I don't know how long he's got left. I wonder that.
Probably not long. All right, Jason, we're gonna get moving.
What do you think? What do you think he's gonna come back as? All right, thanks, guys.
All right, man.
See ya.
Robbie,
thank God.
Robbie just dismissed him. I think it's time to move on.
Robbie gave him the hook.
Robbie gave him the hook. All right, before we go back to the phones here, let's do the rundown here. Fights next week, upcoming fights. And May 17th from Indio, California on ESPN2. Romero Duno versus Gilberto Gonzalez, 10 rounds lightweight. This has got to be a Golden Boy card. Is that a Golden Boy card?
Yes, it is a gold. Yes, it is a gold. Yes, it's a Golden Boy.
Arsco Duarte versus Ray Perez, 10 rounds lightweights. This is like the old Tuesday night fights or something like that.
It is.
No, this reminds me of Friday night fights before PBC got involved with it.
Golden Boy is really going downhill, man.
Shows.
Oh my God.
They're awful, man. They're really bad. May 19th. This is Saturday, right? On Showtime.
You got it. It's Saturday.
Adonis Stevenson versus Badu Jack. 12 rounds for Stevenson's WBC light heavyweight title. And from Oxon Hill, Maryland, Showtime. This is split. So they'll be in, I guess, Canada and Toronto on the one. And then they'll switch to Gary Russell, Jojo Diaz, or vice versa. But Gary Russell versus Jojo Diaz.
Yeah, exactly.
12 rounds for Russell's WBC featherweight title. Those are all on the same broadcast. So, it's all on Showtime.
That's right. Yep. Mm.
Now, from England, Showtime's got it going on here. So, from England, Showtime, it's on Showtime, Facebook, and YouTube Live. Lee Selby versus Josh Warrington, 12 rounds for Selby's IBF featherweight title. Darren Tetley versus Mason Cartwright. I don't know if they're going to show all those. O'Hara Davies is on the broadcast versus Kristen Sabayer, 10 rounds junior welterweights. So there you go. Also on Saturday, May 19th, Omar Chavez versus Jose Carlos Paz, 10 rounds middleweights, and that's in Mexico on BN Sports, Robbie's favorite channel. Friends of the show, remember? All right. On Integrated Sports pay-per-view from Kansas, Mulvane, Kansas, Nico Hernandez versus Sylvester Canellas, 12 rounds flyweights. Alexander Teslenko versus the dreaded TBA. And let's see if there's anything else here. That's pretty much it. And that'll do it for this weekend. So let's talk about the two some good fights this weekend, though. Lee Selby versus Josh Warrington. I think that's a good fight. Beeb, who do you got in that one? You got Selby? I got Selby.
I got Selby.
All right. And then Gary Russell versus
I
Jojo
have Selby
Diaz.
in that one also.
Yeah, Gary Russell versus Jojo Diaz. Who do you guys got? I got Russell.
Got to take Russell on that one.
Yeah, I think Russell's going to be too quick for him.
I got Russell, but honestly, because Gary Russell is so inactive, I give Jojo Diaz here a decent shot. I think Russell will win, but I can't support a fighter who's very inactive.
He's been injured.
So I give Jojo a decent shot.
Friend of the show, he's been injured.
And Jojo Diaz is a Golden Boy fighter fighting a Heyman fighter. That's interesting.
Well,
that is correct.
I'm glad because that's what needs to happen. You know,
that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the big one. Adonis.
Well,
Stevenson.
I know that.
Go ahead.
I was going to say all the skeptics out there, Beeb, would say the only reason why those two are fighting is because JoJo's his mandatory. But no, I give JoJo a decent shot, and let's move on to the big one.
All right, Adonis Stevenson versus Badu Jack. 12 rounds for Stevenson's WBC light heavyweight title. Let me tell you what, man. I like Badu Jack. I do. But it is scary, man, because Stevenson does have that neutralizer. And he's found a way to land it. And just in every fight you've seen, just about every fight you've seen, he's found a way to land it. That being said, I think that Badu Jack wins this fight by decision. I think it wouldn't surprise me if Badu Jack hurt him. Wouldn't surprise me if Badu Jack hurt him away, or put him away. And it wouldn't surprise me if Stevenson won either. It really wouldn't. I like Badu Jack. I think he wins this fight by decision, but I think that, Stevenson could win just as easy. But Stevenson's been inactive. Badu Jack hasn't been, so I'm going with Badu Jack. I think he wins. Beeb.
I agree. I'm going with Badu Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eric, my problem here, I don't think Badu Jack wins a decision in Canada. I think if Badu Jack is going to win this title, he's going to have to put Stevenson on ice. Wow. He's going to have to put him away.
Okay.
Because if it goes 12 rounds, Stevenson will get the hometown decision. Wow. If Badu Jack's going to win, he's going to have to do it convincingly. But God, do I want to see Badu Jack win, because I'm sick of Adonis Stevenson holding that title hostage.
Yeah, I think Badu Jack will force him into fighting a faster-paced fight that he likes. And I don't think he'll be able to slow Badu Jack down. I think Badu Jack is a lot more active. I think he goes to the body. He throws a lot of punches on the inside. He's a strong guy. And I think he's going to be able to kind of impose his will on Adonis Stevenson. There's a young, hungry guy who can fight, man. And he can punch, and he's relentless.
Yeah.
So you got one guy who's going to empty a clip at you, and another guy who's going to try to be a sniper on the roof, shooting one bullet at a time. Who do you go? I mean, the guy with the rifle's got to be perfect. What happens if he's not perfect? The other guy's got a lot more shells in the clip. So that's why I like Badu Jack in this one.
You got to think that they've studied that left hand over and over in camp.
Exactly.
I mean, and this isn't Andrew Fonfara you're fighting. This guy is skilled. But everybody goes back to that first round knockout loss that Badu Jack had. And, that can happen. Honestly, that can happen to anybody.
Yeah, that was ages ago.
I think it's more what he's done lately, and he's, picked himself up and what he's done lately. So, So Robert, I know you want Badu Jack to win. Are you picking him to win and you're picking him by knockout? Or are you picking Stevenson?
Yeah, I think it'll be over before 8 rounds. I think Jack puts him away because Jack is going to set a faster pace, and Stevenson's 40 years old now. He's not going to be able to keep up with the pace that Badu Jack will set. I think he'll set a fast pace early, and I think he'll go to the body, and I think he puts him away before 8 rounds.
I think, I don't know if he puts him away, but I think he wins that fight. I do. Like I said, he's too inactive, and you cannot stay sharp when you're that inactive. And, you can go back to the Fonfara fight with Stevenson, but the simple matter is, man, Virgil Hunter did Fonfara no favors in that fight. That training was horrible. So and that title has been held hostage for way too long. Yeah,
it's time to give it to somebody who will actually defend it.
Yeah. I would agree.
I agree.
All right, before we go on to our news and rumors, let's go back to the phones. Maybe.
Ooh.
Didn't play. Let's see.
From this day, you'll be my new fool.
There we go.
Hey, Georgie, what's up?
Georgie.
Eric, I know you panicking, buddy. I know it's all over your body.
Is it official?
My intro.
Is it official?
Play it.
Are we gonna do it? Is it official?
You
taking it?
Official? Did you send the title already? Is that on the mail?
Title, son. That title ain't going nowhere. That title is staying right here in Cincinnati. Around
hey,
my
Georgie,
broad shoulders.
Georgie, let me get this straight. You're picking Stevenson to beat Jack?
Obviously. I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
Okay, all right. Eric, you're going to defend that title. You're going to defend that title. This is a cakewalk.
You know what they call this, Georgie? Easy
Robert,
work.
The last time we listened to your advice, I lost the last bet I took, taking your advice. I'm not listening to you no more.
Okay, well.
Overbody.
Well, hey, Georgie,
he picked Chris Eubank. He picked Chris Eubank, Georgie.
By the
Listen,
way, and I did pick Chris Eubank to win the World Boxing Super Series. By the way, Chris Eubank may be back in the World Boxing Super Series.
You bastard. You jinxed him. You jinxed him.
How great is that?
Terrible.
Love it.
All right.
Listen, guys, but let's analyze the situation with Badu Jack. I got a few things to say.
Okay.
Would you say not even fuck Badu Jack? Let's say Stevenson. Would you say Stevenson got the same skill level that Deontay Wilder has, or he's above Deontay?
Does Wilder have the same skill level as Stevenson? No.
Are they both in the same rack? Or you think that Stevenson is a higher, more skillful fighter?
Yeah, I think Stevenson's more skillful. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think Stevenson's more skillful.
So if people haven't figured it out how to get away from Deontay Wilder right hand, how come Badu Jack figured out how to get out on the deadliest left hand that we ever seen?
Well, this is
wow, Georgie, that was a great point.
This is why I take a pie in the face once again, because you don't have the skill level in the heavyweight division as you do here. It's a different skill level, different skill sets. And besides, who has Deontay Wilder fought to expose that skill? Nobody.
Actually, Eric, I think you might be in trouble here because Beeb's agreeing with Georgie.
What do I care who Beeb agrees with? I beat Beeb too.
Well,
doesn't matter.
But that's what I'm saying. Even Wilder doesn't have the skill. Doesn't have the skill level that
Beeb, Robbie's ready to change his pick. maybe he does have a chance.
I liked what Georgie did there, though. That was pretty slick.
What did he do?
No,
he didn't do anything. He made an illogical point.
Basically, used the Nolan Ryan game on you.
The Nolan Ryan game.
People used to say all Nolan Ryan has is a fastball, but they still couldn't hit him. Good point, Georgie.
If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around, that's what point it was. That's the same point. Let me make my point real quick. Boston cream pie. You're going to take it on Sunday. That's my point. Undisputed. That's
brother.
my point.
Oh, wow.
Listen, brother. If that punch slang is lights out, that's the point that I'm trying to make. That skill level, this and that really don't matter. That point is dangerous. It's dangerous.
He's got one way to win.
That's one thing.
He's got one way to win. That's it.
No, hold on. That's one way. That's one way that he can win in any moment on the fight. That's one way. Another thing that you guys don't take into consideration is the greed of these people, the greed of the mafias. Who's there from Canada? Who's there?
You talking
Prime
about
Minister Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister. He's there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Listen, there is nobody there in Canada getting people on stage like Stevenson. That's the biggest name they got out there. That's the same shit that they with Rocky Martinez.
The only
Puerto Rico.
Georgie, the only reason why he's fighting there is because he can't come into this country because of his legal issues.
Yeah. Yeah, he can't come in. He's been barred from the U.S.
All I'm saying,
Trump threw up that
for Badou Jack to go to Canada and get a decision is impossible. I don't think he's getting no decision down there, and I don't want to hear nobody.
No, that's why he's going to knock him out, okay? That's why he's going to knock him out.
This is going to be another Billy Joe Saunders, David
Did
Lemieux
he
fight.
knock out the
That's what it's
girl?
going to be.
Did he knock out the girl?
I thought he beat the Gale.
Badu Jack didn't knock out DeGale. That was a draw, Georgie.
I thought he beat him, though.
That's
I thought it was pretty solid.
So he didn't knock out the girl. He's going to knock out Stevenson?
Stevenson's easier to hit.
And Stevenson got more power than the girl. By the time he tried to hit Stevenson, and Stevenson can catch him with something.
Yeah, but Stevenson doesn't have very good defense. Come on, Beeb, help me out here.
And there's no guarantee that even if he catches him with that left hand.
All right, this is the thing.
Really not.
You talked about the Wilder-Stevenson comparison, but there's a glaring difference between the two guys.
Terrible comparison, by the way.
Wilder is a lot more aggressive and fights at a faster pace, and he's more mobile. Stevenson fights at a very slow pace. He lays back and tries to suck you into that left hand, whereas Wilder will go all out and
hold on. Nobody's saying here that they got the same style. They're even similar, but they straight punch, which is the fastest shit in the fucking boxing. Besides that jab, the fastest shit coming around the straight hand down the pipe. And they both got that shit with astonishing power.
Well, this is the thing. This is one thing you got to remember.
That shit with good results, having less skill that Superman, yeah, that shit comes into play.
This is one thing you got to remember.
The fight, man.
You gonna let me in or what? You gonna let me say something? You gonna let me say something?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Beeb.
This is the one thing you gotta take into consideration. When Stevenson is gonna sit there and lay back and wait for that perfect left hand counter, Badou Jack's gonna be touching him, and piling up the points, and he's gonna be landing those body shots. So what's gonna happen if that perfect left hand does not land? That's what you got to ask yourself.
Beeb, that's impossible.
They're
because
gonna rob
Badou Jack
That's what's going to happen. They're going to rob him in Canada.
Beeb, that's impossible though, because you got to know that Adonis Stevenson's a better boxer than Wilder. So how in the world is Badou Jack going to beat him? That's what you just laid out. That's what you just laid out. That was your argument. He's 40. He's going to set a pace, and he's going to die in the 6th round, son. Georgie. Boston cream pie next week. You got a date.
Jack is gonna go to that body all night long, and Stevenson's not gonna be able to handle it, man.
By the time he tried to go to that body, that left hand gonna rain on his face.
Yeah, well,
you gotta go through that to get in the inside to get those body shots.
Trust me, Badou Jack is
one in there. Believe that.
Georgie,
Badou Jack is younger, and Badou Jack is younger, and he'll be able to handle that. He'll be able to handle that. Trust me.
Georgie, it's
You're
too
going
late
down,
now, son.
Georgie.
You done committed.
Down.
You done committed now. It's all over. I wouldn't even take it back now if I could, but I can't no more. Listen, the fight's signed. It's all over with now. I don't know how you're going to deal with it once again taking a pie.
About no robbery. That's all I know. No excuses.
It's all done, son.
No robbery shit.
I feel bad for you, son.
Listen.
No, I can't stop it anymore.
Eric, what was that fight? That fight was Ray Vargas versus. Oh my God, what was the name of the other dude?
You mean the one last night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Havanesian.
Yeah.
Havanesian.
I thought it was closer. I thought Vargas might have got him, but it was closer. Closer fight.
Yeah.
Listen, I was about to skip that fight. I was about to skip it. I'm like, you know what? Just gonna wait for the main event. I really don't know this guy. I knew about Ray a little bit, but nothing to be on my radar. And that so was fucking Leverstein, right? The trainer, the famous Mexican trainer against Freddie Roach. I'm like, oh shit, this could be interesting. And that dude is a Terminator. That little dude is like a Tasmanian devil. That was a great fight.
It's good.
Yes, it
that
was.
was something you can show to anybody and make him like a boxing fan.
Yep. Good fight.
Wow. HBO did great. I gotta say it. You know, I never give them props, but they did great, bro.
I felt bad for Saddam Ali though. He was in there with the wrong kind of guy.
I'm glad he's gone. Because he don't belong in that division. Now we got all these strong young cats that can't crack, and anything that can happen because they all got a strap. All these people who got a strap in 154 can crack.
That's
so
right.
A knockout is on the making now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Really easy. So Ali, I never was, when I meant to hype on him, so I really didn't care too much about that loss. But the fight before that, I would like to see him in a rematch. It was a spectacular, beautiful.
Hey, I got a quick question.
Well, I'm going to come next Sunday.
I got a quick question, Georgie.
Come next Sunday, grab my bell.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question real quick. Did Billy Joe Saunders win that decision over David Lemieux? Weren't they in Canada?
Yes, they were. And yes, he did.
Georgie.
Yep. But that was a really ass whipping though. That was outclassed. There's no way you can rob him like that.
Georgie.
That wasn't even close.
Happen? You think that's gonna happen?
Yeah. Yeah, Georgie. Hey, listen, man, I can't stop it anymore.
Superman like that?
I can't stop it, man. It's over with. Listen, you done punch a ticket. You don't put your name on the contract, son. You don't put your name on the contract. There ain't no going back now, Georgie. You're taking a pie Sunday. And there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. The only way you can stop this is going up there and tackling Adonis Stevenson before he gets in that ring. That's the only way you're going to stop this. The only way, son. That's it. Because it's all over but the crying. It's all over. It's over for you.
Well, listen, Eric, the pride before becomes the fall. So I know how you feel now. We will see on Sunday.
And still undisputed.
Listen, is it Boston playing?
Don't even bring that up. They just got
That's
lucky.
That's right, and Boston won today, 108-83.
So take that. That's the interest ditch.
Well, you got about 7 days to enjoy this victory because you're not going to get one next week. All right, how about that?
Imagine if the Celtics go to the finals. My God! Imagine that.
That's not going to happen. They're playing the Cavs, baby.
He's scared, ladies and gentlemen. He's scared.
Yeah, and it was 61-35 at halftime, man. It was 61-35 at halftime. So it was a bad day for Cleveland.
Poor officiating is what it was. Poor officiating.
Okay. Blame it on the rain next time.
All right, Georgie.
Guys, I see you next Sunday.
All right,
all right, see you, Georgie. Good call.
Cut him off. Ain't gonna be no new. Ain't gonna be new. It's going down, son. Somebody calling to Adonis Stevenson. Hope he calls in sick that day. Georgie's taking another pie. It ain't going nowhere, baby. Staying right here. All right, let's move on.
I think, yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to news and rumors. All right, so DAZN, is it DAZN, Beeb? It's DAZN, right?
That's correct. Yep, that's the proper pronunciation.
You heard
yes.
Big announcement. Eddie Hearn got together this week with DAZN, and he announced that 16 events per year will be in the U.S. with 4 monster shows, according to Hearn. So basically, this is a streaming service that Eddie Hearn has hooked up with and is going to put fights on there. Currently, they're only available in Europe. It's called DAZN, D-A-Z-N. They're only available with streaming in Europe, but now they're going to be available in the U.S., and they're going to have 16 events per year in the U.S. with 4 monster shows, according to Hearn. So basically, it's a streaming service. It'll be about $20 a month is what we're hearing. But now the show isn't just boxing. DAZN is like sports. It's almost like a ESPN Netflix kind of thing. You know what I mean? So they got sports on this thing, and it's not just boxing. It's all different sports. So you're paying the $20 for like another sports channel. The problem is, I don't know that the U.S. is going to be that much interested in, soccer and cricket and everything, or I don't know what they show on this, but I'm just naming some European sports.
Snooker, darts.
Darts.
Yeah, no.
I'm serious.
Honestly, I don't know how well this is going to do.
Darts.
Yeah, it depends on what fights he puts on. I mean, for $20 a month, he's going to have to put on some really good stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hell,
I'm not overly excited about it.
To be honest, guys, I was mad last week when AWE didn't even bother to tell anybody that they were going to have the fights on last week.
Yeah, and you're going to have bigger fights in Bellew and Hay to get me to buy into this,
Yeah.
$20 a month, that's not, Listen, I'm complaining about paying $5 for the ESPN Plus app, and you're going to sell me on a $20 app for, we better have something here.
Yeah, no, I'm not paying the $5, and I doubt I'd pay for this. Hell, I give DirecTV enough money.
Yeah, right. So, Beeb, Eddie Hearn is your boy. You are responsible for him. Are you paying $20?
I have a hard time coming to grips with paying $20 because the thing is this: I pay for Showtime, I pay for HBO, I pay for Netflix. Now you're going to ask, and I pay for my Roku. I did purchase that AWE channel for like $2 a month. This is the problem. The market's already oversaturated. HBO, you can buy HBO for as cheap as $10 a month. Sometimes, on a streaming service like Hulu, they'll give you a deal. You can get it $5 a month. Same thing with Showtime. You got Netflix, you got Amazon, you got ESPN, you got all these streaming services. So you're going to give us, I think you said that there's a total of 32 fights that are going to be on this, 16 in the United States, 16 in the UK. But the big question mark is, what types of fights are they going to be? Because you got all the Al Heyman fighters tied up in PBC. So unless he can get PBC fighters to buy into the streaming service and he's able to put them on this platform, then it's going to be a tough sell. And not only that, if you can't put this Wilder Joshua fight looks like it is going to happen, but the thing is this: if you can have all the fighters in the world. Al Heyman has shown you this, but if you can't get them in the ring to fight each other, then what good does it do? I'm curious to see what fighters he has signed, and think about it. So 32 shows are supposed to be on this, right? The year's half over. You got 6 months left, right? So 6 into 32. It's roughly like 4 shows a month. So you're asking me to pay $20 for 4 boxing shows a month. I'm already getting more than 4 boxing shows a month, paying what I'm paying now. So for you to get me to pay $20 a month, those 4 shows you're showing me are gonna have to be home runs. You're gonna have to hit it out of the park. They got to be super fights, and I'm skeptical on the quality of these shows because we've seen the PBC have all these fighters under their belt.
Yeah,
and they put on a lot of great shows. Don't get me wrong, but you still haven't had, all the fights that we should have had. And who's to say that Eddie Hearn is going to get all these guys together and get them to fight each other? It's one thing having the fighters signed under contract, and it's another. I mean, he couldn't put the Brook fight together. You know what I mean? You have to really look at the situation. I mean, it's a lot easier said than done. It's great to have all this, and again, the money. It's going to be an 8-year contract, but now I'm hearing that after 4 years, the next 4 years are optional. I don't know how true this is, and I'm hearing it's 8 years. It's $1 billion spread out over 8 years. So it's not the same situation as PBC was, where PBC got half $1 billion up front, and they had all these they bought all this network time, whatever. But the thing about PBC is they didn't ask me to pay anything extra out of my pocket. I didn't love all the matchups they gave me, and obviously what ended up happening is now all the fights are back on Showtime pretty much anyway. So PBC kind of did not follow through on what their mission statement was. That's great, but at the end of the day, $20 a month for 4 more fights a month, and you can say all you want. I'm not gonna watch darts. I'm not gonna watch darts being broadcast on television. And here's another thing too. I don't know about you, but I'm much more comfortable watching television, my sports on a TV, as opposed to streaming it. So now the quality is just not the same. I mean, Netflix is a different ballgame because you're watching, stuff that's already been recorded. You're not watching the stuff live. You know what I'm saying? Think about when you're forced to watch a stream. I know the quality is probably going to be great, but you're not going to get that same television quality. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get that same quality, and then you're going to have to cast it onto a smart TV because it's going to be an app.
Yeah.
So then you're going to have to Chromecast it or Apple TV or PlayStation 2 or whatever. So what if people don't have those things? There's a lot of people that don't have a Chromecast. A lot of people that don't have. Robbie, do you have a Chromecast? Do you have an Apple TV? I don't think you do. A lot of people.
No, that's my problem. I have a normal TV. I want my sports on my normal.
Exactly, and there's a lot of people
I hate these ideas of him offering us something for $20 a month, and then you've got ESPN. Oh, by the way, we're not getting enough money out of you. So here's our app, and we're going to show fights for $5 a month, including the Terrence Crawford fight. We're not even going to put the Terrence Crawford fight on our TV. You have to watch it on the app. I can't deal with garbage like this.
I have more of a problem.
Eddie Hearn or ESPN.
I have more of a problem with the ESPN app because we pay for like 2 or 3 different ESPN channels, and then you're going to put it on the one we don't pay for. I'm not paying for it.
And then the whole this is the whole crazy marketing scheme that really insults my intelligence, and I think it should insult a lot of people's intelligence. This isn't pay-per-view. The fuck it ain't. You're asking me to pay $20 a month for 4 fights.
Right.
For 4 cards. That's pay-per-view.
Yeah.
At least what show
is not pay-per-view. Fox is not pay-per-view.
Showtime and HBO are a premium service that you pay for. But look what they've done. They've constantly evolved. You can watch Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO. You can get political shows there, Game of Thrones, all these other shows that HBO has, Ballers, Showtime, Ray Donovan, Homeland. These are exclusive shows that these networks have. They're giving you something that other channels cannot give you. Netflix, they have exclusive series that are totally just on their platform. Whereas Eddie Hearn is giving you boxing that we already have boxing on HBO. We already have boxing on Showtime. We already have boxing on ESPN. We already have boxing on Fox. We already have boxing on Bounce. So and again, AWE, I watched the card last week, and I only had to pay $2 a month for that. I'm only paying like $8 a piece for Showtime and HBO, and now you're asking me to pay $20. So I'm not high on it, bro. I'm just not high on it, and I can see myself.
No, this kind of stuff makes me sick.
The one positive you do have out of it is if I can forecast the schedule and maybe like 1 month there's a lot of fights I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll buy it for a month, but then I'll cancel it the very next month.
Let me ask you this.
And that's what I'm going
the
yeah, go ahead.
shows. Okay, so the shows they put on there, what if they are good quality? What if they're like Showtime caliber shows? And fighters, that aren't on Showtime or whatever, but like some of the British guys. And what if they were to put the World Boxing Super Series on that? Versus, like what if they come off YouTube? I mean, obviously it's free now, but what if they come off YouTube and go there? Is that something that would interest you?
What they would have to do, yes, but here's the caveat. They would have to take all the fights off of HBO and Showtime and put them on there. So that would have to be the main source.
Right.
They would have to outperform HBO and Showtime in order for me to do that.
Yeah.
But I could see this is what I can honestly see myself doing. Buying it for 1 month, then canceling it. Buying it for another month, then canceling it.
Yeah.
I couldn't see myself, because we know how boxing. Here's another thing to look at: the ups and downs in the sport. You'll have a couple months in a row where you get a ton of great fights, but then you always have that drought and that dip at some point in the year, where like usually the beginning of the year is kind of slow, and things start picking up in the summertime, up until November. Then after November, things start slowing down again. So during the slow months, when there's not a ton of fights, or not a ton of great quality fights that you're really interested in, what are you going to do? You're going to still pay for the service? So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. At least HBO and Showtime, I don't buy them just for the boxing.
And Eddie Hearn, he doesn't have anybody. We know who he has. He puts on the Matchroom cards. Sometimes they're good cards from top to bottom. Sometimes not so good. Are they pay-per-view?
No.
Are they $20 worthy? No, they're not.
No.
And it's not like he signed anybody major. We know who he's got. We know.
Let me ask you this, because we were lucky enough to be able to watch the whole card pretty much on AWE. Was that a good card last week with Bellew and Hay?
It was decent. Nothing I would have paid for.
We wouldn't have paid for it though, right? That was not in the United States, and shout out to the UK fans, because you guys are diehard boxing fans.
Yeah. This
is why boxing is so big over there, because you guys pay for cards that we would never pay for. You guys are loyal fans. This is not a dig at you at all. It's not a knock. I'm not taking shots, but that's the kind of card that you guys call a pay-per-view card that we would not buy that in the United States. We would stream the fuck out of that. And you guys, and that's why the market's different.
AWE would show all these fights. I mean,
yeah.
They very seldom show fights, and then when they do, not enough people know about it. Eric had to tell me last week, 2 hours after it started. I didn't know.
Let me ask you another question. Would you pay $20 a month for Box Nation?
No. We're not.
No?
No, not unless it's on our TV, Eric.
I wouldn't.
All right.
It's got to be on our TV.
There you go. The people have spoken. Beeb, it's time.
Brianna, let's go. Hurry up. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Go.
Chugga, 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 chugga. Choo, choo.
Oh, that was great. I hate that Beeb rushed you on that. I really do hate that Beeb rushed you on that. Nobody rushes our like that.
She's got to get the top tonight.
Excuses. I don't want to hear any excuses on why you did what you did. We just know that you did what you did. All right?
Take a bath.
Doesn't matter.
Why do you think she's going to go to bed tonight at 12?
Doesn't matter.
You don't got to deal with her in the morning.
we're keeping Beeb's girl up late. It's like she's got school tomorrow.
There we go.
In the summer, her hours change. Okay. All right. Ring Magazine leaves Canelo as the middleweight champion. Ring Magazine voted that anyone testing positive for PEDs is not eligible for ring titles. But De La Hoya stepped in and said Canelo could keep his ring rating. Beeb, what's up with that?
It's again, this is why I hate to say this, but this is why I'm glad I don't have to do this full time for a living. Because I'd have to work for people like that.
Yeah.
With no integrity, with no credibility, who constantly talk out of both sides of their mouth. That's an embarrassment.
Yeah.
It's total hypocrisy.
It is.
And with all due respect to Doug Fisher, because I like Doug Fisher a lot. This guy has a family. He's been doing that. He's been the editor for a long time. He's been a boxing writer his whole life, pretty much that I know of. And, I know he's not down with this, but he has no choice but to go along with it because Oscar De La Hoya is putting food on the table. But I know Doug Fisher. I know Doug Fisher. And you can say what you want about Steve Kim, but, he's been doing it for a long time. You have to give Steve Kim some degree of respect. You don't have to agree with everything he says. You can call him out when you feel he's being biased or whatever. But these guys have been in the game a long time. They hustle. They're both good at what they do. They make me want to listen. I don't even if the good thing is when someone's talented, when even though you don't agree with them, you still listen to them. You know what I'm saying? Because Steve Kim knows the sport. Doug Fisher knows the sport. You can say whatever you want about they may have agendas here and there, whatever. But I know Doug Fisher is not on board with this. He's, I believe, the chairman of the ratings committee, and he wasn't down with this, and he got overridden by De La Hoya. And De La Hoya is probably the biggest hypocrite of all time in this sport. He's probably my least favorite person in the sport because he's such a phony, such a bullshit artist, and he's such a liar, and he's such a hypocrite. And again, this is the sport of boxing where promoters lie, but this is over the top. This is such a conflict of interest, anyways, having a promoter own a boxing website and own a boxing magazine that has ratings, that rates fighters, that actually has a championship belt that used to be held in high regard all the way back in the late 1930s, early 1940s. This belt's been around. And you're going to tarnish it by having Golden Boy now be in charge of something like this with Oscar De La Hoya at the helm. It's a freaking disgrace. I'm sorry.
It's awful. Yeah, he sucks.
I totally agree with Beeb here. I can guarantee you, Doug Fisher and Steve Kim are not in favor of this decision. They're both classy guys. Like Beeb said, you may not agree with everything they say or write, but they know their sport, and I can guarantee that both of them are not in favor of this. But they both receive paychecks from Oscar De La Hoya, and as long as they do, they have to go by what their boss says. And so they're in a catch-22. What do? Do you quit your job and go broke, or do you do what your boss says? That's what they're doing here.
Well, I can tell you I have integrity as a person, and I could tell you that if I worked for Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya was my boss, and Oscar De La Hoya told me to keep Canelo as champion, I would tell Oscar De La Hoya absolutely, because I like food and I like living indoors and everything like that. So I like getting paid. So, hey, there it is. I would do the same thing because that's the way it goes. All right. Canelo, speaking of Canelo, one person who did drop him from the rankings was the WBC. Canelo Alvarez is not listed in the WBC's updated 160-pound rankings, which were released on Saturday. The WBC requires all of its champions and ranked contenders to participate in its blood and urine testing program, which is run by VADA. Since he didn't do that, he's out of the WBC rankings. There you go. WBC holding the line. It's not going to do them any favors because them and Canelo have not gotten along for a while. Looked like they were back together. Now, hey, now they're back on the outs. Beeb, it's time for Trainwreck of the Week number 2.
Chugga, 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 chugga. Choo choo. Why are you doing it? She did the first one.
Jesus, that was awful.
Where's Brianna when you need her?
Oh my God. That just brought the show to like a screeching halt. It's almost like I just want to end on that note because that was so bad. I would rather listen to two pigs screwing than to listen to that again. That was horrible. May God have mercy on you. All right, train wreck of the week number 2. 99 problems. Sor Rungvisai, Srisaket Sor Rungvisai. You guys remember him. He beat Chocolatito twice. Has pulled out of a fight.
Yep.
Because he broke up with his lady. Actually, his lady broke up with him. He was with this girl for 14 years. She dumped him. He is so distraught that he has pulled out and postponed his next fight. Robert, you've dumped a lot of chicks over the years. How many of them have called in sick to work after that?
No,
Quite
it's
a
been
few?
the other way around. I've been dumped by them. But let me
your
tell you
game.
something.
That's your game, though.
I have
You don't like
followed
to do the
boxing
dumping.
since I've followed boxing since March 8, 1971. Ali Frazier #1, and this is one of the most ridiculous excuses I've ever heard in my life for why a person can't fight. Yeah, it's devastating when somebody decides to move on, but you're going to put your livelihood on hold because you're heartbroken because somebody decided to leave you? Give me a break.
Got girl problems, man. If you having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, right, Robert? Come on.
Yeah, it's one of the most pathetic excuses I've ever heard for canceling a fight.
Oh, how dare you? How dare you? He just lost his girl. Show some sympathy, Robert.
Screw that. You got to put money on. You got to put food on the table. Get your ass in the ring.
For what? What does he got to put? She left him. He's only got one plate now. It's terrible, Robert. You're rude. Very rude person.
What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? Go back to Thailand and eat garbage out of the garbage can like he used to? Come on, give me a break.
Buddy, please. You don't know his economic status.
I'm savage.
He's not at garbage cans, please.
Savage.
Well, hey, remember, Beeb? They made a big deal about how he used to live on the streets and eat food out of a garbage can. I mean, come on, really?
Come on, Robert.
You're gonna not have your next fight because your girl broke up with you? Where's your man card?
Wow.
Give me a break.
Whoa.
Put you on blast, son. He just put you on blast. I got $20. Says that Robert's going to be dating Sor Rungvisai's girlfriend here soon. She says she likes the real man, son. She's going to Robert's house.
That's funny.
It's going down. All right. De La Hoya looking to start his own MMA company. Oscar De La Hoya says he's one step closer to getting Chuck Liddell, former UFC champion, back in the cage, telling TMZ Sports he's finalizing contracts for Liddell versus Tito Ortiz. Oscar is starting his own MMA company, and he's targeting the 48-year-old UFC Hall of Famer as his first fighter. That is Chuck Liddell, 48-year-old Chuck Liddell. And he's looking to fight 43-year-old Tito Ortiz. Well, I cannot wait for that one. I mean, who doesn't want to see that one? Yeah, two 50-year-olds in there fighting. Yeah, who doesn't want to see that?
Hey, Eric, I got a better idea. If Oscar wants to have an MMA company so bad, why don't he get in the cage with Chuck Liddell?
Yeah, right?
I'd love that.
Terrible. Wow. Triple G and HBO, 1.3 million tuned in to HBO to watch Triple G versus Martirosyan. It makes it the #1 cable fight in 2018. So there you go. Sergey Kovalev versus Eleider Alvarez set to take place on August 4th. That should be a good one. That should be a really good one. And
90 seconds.
Billy Joe Saunders will face Martin Murray on June 23rd, and that fight will be on the ESPN Plus app. So if you were just, if you were teetering on getting that app before, that's the fight that really pushes you over.
Yeah. Again, and if that's
another one I will not pay for. That's ridiculous.
And if that's the quality of fights that Eddie Hearn's going to give me, there's no way I'm paying $20 for that.
Good. If you want me to watch
60 seconds
them on my TV, this is ridiculous. Jeez.
There it is. All right, we're going to go to overtime. We got two people on hold here, so let's go. 804. This is Corey. 804. You're live.
What's going on, y'all?
Corey.
Hey, Corey, what's up?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, how's everybody doing? What's up, Eric, Rob?
Good, man.
What's going on?
What up? What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all taking my call, man. So yeah, man. So this weekend, man, Lomachenko versus Linares, man. That was a really good fight, man. Lomachenko got knocked down in the 6th round, I believe. And I picked Lomachenko to win, man, but
10 seconds.
He had holes in his game, man. He kept getting hit by Linares, over and over. And it was one of those type of deals where I was just like, wow, like the only thing I could keep thinking about in that fight was where he kept getting hit that much. I was just thinking like, man, wow. What if that was somebody else that was a little bit bigger in a bigger weight division hitting him?
Hey, if Mikey Garcia did that, Loma would be sleeping.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I was talking about too. I was just like, it's one of those type of deals where you got to understand, man. I mean, Mikey Garcia was facing Linares, that is not the biggest power puncher in the world. When he did face him, though, when he took that 1-2 from Linares and fell down, I don't know how hurt he was, but I think a real good, strong, lightweight could have maybe possibly finished Lomo. The bell had just ended after the knockdown happened. So, that everything was working in, Lomo's favor. And, he went back like a true champion that he is with only 10 pro fights at the time. And he came back like a true champion, and he came back and he dominated. My personal opinion is Linares did have moments, but like Robbie said, if he were to fight a guy like Mikey Garcia, would those moments be defining finishing moments? As if he fought the likes of Mikey Garcia or even a Gervonta Davis. I think Gervonta Davis is a very, very harder puncher than Linares. I think Gervonta Davis, the more he gets better in his career, he's obviously going to move up. I think he's at 130 right now, if I believe. And, and Linares, this was a telltale sign when I knew Lomachenko had a tough fight on his hands. When Doug Fisher says, when I looked at Doug Fisher's interview, he said, listen, he said, I looked at both fighters, side by side, and he said, there is no way in hell that Lomachenko is a lightweight. He said he looked at both of those fighters side by side, and he looked at their, their bodies and stuff like that, and he broke them down, and he said there's no way in hell that Lomachenko is a lightweight. So maybe that's a telltale sign for things to come. I mean, you got to look at little things like that because the intricate details like that, can be defining, and later in your career, I don't think he'll be, a lightweight overnight. I don't think he'll be a lightweight tomorrow. I don't think he'll be a lightweight next fight neither, man. You know what I'm saying? And, my personal opinion is it was one of those type of deals, man, where, you got champions at lightweight, man, that, that are going to be coming for Lomo now, man, after they see that he's vulnerable like this. And, after they see that he could actually get stunned and, possibly hurt, and knocked down. With that being said, Linares was a hell of a fighter. He does nothing to hold his head down about. I do not agree with Linares saying that he could continue. He noticeably put his hands down after the bell was over. After the count was over. That gesture right there, he looked at the referee after he put his hands down. That gesture right there showed me that he did not want to continue. And after he could not continue, he actually went down and sat on the stool, and he was noticeably wincing again still. So it's no way in hell that he could have continued, in my opinion. There's no way in hell, man. The fighter and the true, warrior in him probably thought that he could after he stopped feeling that pain from that liver shot. But after that, man, it was, after that kidney shot, it was one of those type of shots, man, where it was just, debilitating, man. It looked like it just took his leg from underneath him, man. It was just brutal body shot, man. One of the best body shots I've seen this year to end the fight, for sure, man. Body shot of the year. But moving forward, I think Lomachenko, should fight, maybe, a top 10 lightweight fighter. I know they're probably going to have Lomachenko fight Ray Beltran next. I'm not sure if y'all talked about that. I just called into the show about 30 minutes ago. And, like I said, maybe it's going to be a Ray Beltran. I think Ray Beltran is set right up for Lomachenko. He gets that belt as well. So he'll be the WBA and the WBO within 6 months. And that'll be, you got to understand, it's a lot of politics that play in the boxing. And Ray Beltran is straight in that political order. And Bob Arum has a new cash cow in Lomachenko, I think. And this is just gonna catapult him to bigger and better things. But like I said, you got you got Robert Easter, you got Robert Easter and Mikey Garcia fighting. The winner of that fight hopefully can fight the winner of Ray Beltran and Lomachenko if that fight were to happen next. And you just got a couple other dogs at that division, but right now, man, my biggest fight that I really truly want to see is Gervonta Davis, man, against Lomachenko. I want to see that, but I think the biggest fight that makes the most money sense, I think Mikey Garcia and Lomachenko, man. I think that's a pay-per-view fight, man. Yeah. I think that's a pay-per-view fight, and that's a pay-per-view fight that I would pay for. With that being said, moving on to the Saddam Ali fight. If you go check on that, man, I did a video about 2 or 3 days before the fights happened, man, and I was so hype about this guy, Jamie Munguia. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name a little bit, man, but Jamie Munguia, man, wow, man, I was so high on this guy, man. I made a video about him. I said, this might be the next Mexican superstar, man. And I said this 3 days before the fight happened, man. And I mean, boy, was I right, man. I mean, he's only 21 years old, man. If they market this guy right, there's mega money involved in this kid, man. I mean, the sky's the limit with this guy, man. I mean, you got to understand, man. Jamie Munguia is only 21 years old. He started his Mexican boxing career in Mexico at 16 years old. He's fought, from what I heard, he's fought a lot of Mexican champions to get to that 28-0 level with 24 knockouts, and he knocked out all Mexican champions. And with that being said, that catapulted him to this fight with Saddam Ali. I did have Munguia winning by late stoppage, but boy, was I wrong. It was apparent from the first freaking round, man, that Munguia was just light years ahead of Saddam Ali, man, in size difference and, I think within skill as well, too. But, my personal opinion is when he steamrolled him, he did get the belt. I don't think he learned much in this fight. And the biggest takeaway that I take away from this fight, and I know a lot of 154-pound champions took away from this fight, and this is a telltale sign as well, y'all. If Saddam Ali hit him so crisp, talking about Munguia, if you had a Jamel Charlo, hitting him so crisp just like that, does he stand up? You have a Jarrett Hurd hitting him that crisp, as much as crisp as Saddam Ali hit this guy. Does he stand up? My answer to that is, I don't know. I do not know, man, because Saddam Ali was catching him with the counters, and boy, were they landing crisp, man. I know the fight only lasted 4 rounds, and I know it was a dog fight, but that Munguia style, man, is style, man. It's come through, get hit, I'll take your 1, you've got to take my 2, and see if you're still okay after you take my 2, man. Yeah, I think Corey, after this fight, man, they're gonna have Munguia. They're gonna have Munguia fighting, maybe second tier or maybe used to be champions, former champions. I do not put Munguia in with the champion right away, man. I know he did say he was ready for Triple G, and he said he was ready for Triple G, he was ready for Charlo, and he was ready for Hurd. He said that in the interview already. With that being said, if I'm his promoter, I do not put him in there with him right now, because I don't think that his skill level right now at this present point in time, I don't think he could, I don't think he could possibly win those type of fights at where we stand at right now. If he tell me that, 3 to 4 to 5 fights from now where he's in 32-0, I personally think that he could actually probably, maybe be able to knock out one of those champions, because mind you, 3 or 4 fights, as a champion is different than the very next fight after your champion fighting another champion. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You'll be able to get that, that pedigree and all of that. And from what I've heard, I'm ready to go. I know you want me to get off. I'm ready to go now. But after seeing this man, does he does he get a new trainer? That's one of the best things that I take out of this.
Well, he's already got a new trainer, and the trainer already said, I need at least 2 or 3 training camps with him, so I can show him more things. So he's already got a new trainer, Corey.
All right, and then with that being said, man, Robbie said it best, man. I'm gonna let you get to you guys callers, man. This is Corey Lee's Boxing, man. I respect the hell out of everybody on the show, man. And y'all keep doing bigger and better things, man. I appreciate it, man. Y'all have a great week, okay?
Corey, where can we find you? Corey, where can we find you at? Where can we find you at?
Oh, man. You know where you can find me at, man.
Well, tell us where to find you. Tell us where to find you.
You can find me at Corey Lee Boxing on YouTube, man. I cover every fight every weekend. It was lit this past weekend, man. I did a 4-hour show, man. But like I said, man, I'm here for the fans. I'm here to, hear whatever constructive criticism they may have. And with that being said, man, y'all have a great week, man.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, make sure to catch Corey Lee Boxing on YouTube. He's got a lot of shows on there and everything like that. He does a lot. Also, too, catch Wood from Baltimore. Wood Be More. Wood BMORE TV. Wood Be More TV on YouTube. He does a lot of boxing videos too. So, Wood, good to see you in the chat. One more from Phoenix. 602, you're live.
Yo, what's going on? What's going on?
Hey,
there?
Brandon, what's up?
Hey, what's happening, man?
Oh, not much, man. Just chilling,
What's
man.
happening? What's happening?
My Rottweiler, man. So we just chilling, man.
Good dog.
Yeah, I just want to talk. I just want to talk about well, let me start off with the Lomachenko performance, man. I thought it was a great performance. He got knocked down, but he got back up like a true champ. He was hurt, but he wasn't fully shaky. He pretty much had his legs under him the whole time. I pretty much agree with everything Corey said, man. I'd like to see him versus Deltron next, and then that sets up the 4-belt unification with Mikey, because Mikey's saying that the Mikey fight's at 135, is it not?
That's correct.
Yeah, so then Mikey's going to defend his WBC. Eastman's got the IBF, and then we can have a 4-belt unification sometime maybe early next year, or maybe in the fall. You know what I'm saying? So I like the way that sets up. If we can get the politics out of it and just make the fight. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'd like to see out of him. I mean, but I also agree that for whatever reason, I'd love to see him versus Tank, because Tank is just so explosive. And you guys tell me if I'm tripping, but I'd probably say under 135, Tank is the most explosive person I've seen since Hamed. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you may not be wrong, but my question is
you can definitely make an argument for it.
Up like Hamed?
Yeah. Well,
I don't
Tank
think
doesn't
so.
have the same skill. Yeah, I mean, Tank doesn't have the same skill. I hear a lot of people saying that Tank could beat Lomachenko and this and that, and a lot of people are picking him. But look, man, I mean, he doesn't have the skill level. His skill level isn't there. He's got one, he's not going to go in against Lomachenko and do what he's doing. No way. And he's not going to go in against Garcia and do what he's doing.
But the thing is about Tank, man, is that to me, Tank has the talent to kind of cover some of those gaps. I understand. I would not pick him over Lomachenko.
Sure.
But you know, all he's got to do is be right once or twice, and that can change the fight.
Yeah.
And when Lomachenko's in there with somebody who's athletically on his level, I think that kind of changes the game a little bit, as we saw against Linares, even though Linares, you know, being athletically somewhat on his level, but having that size advantage. Well, I think Tank can maybe beat him to a couple of spots from time to time. You know, but Lomachenko's something else, man. But anyway, let me go to the next card real quick here. You know, man, this is why you got to have good management. Because what happens to Saddam Ali is a tragedy. That man was set up. I don't understand how the people that manage him, that handle him, don't see film on this kid, don't know how big this kid is, and accept that fight.
It is kind of daunting. You know, it almost looks like they didn't do their homework, and it's obvious they didn't take the kid seriously.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if that falls to the trainer or if that falls to his father, because his father is the manager. I believe in that situation. But you know, to me, it's just kind of sad. I mean, we all knew he wasn't long for 154 anyway. But, you know, on short notice, you shouldn't be taking on an opponent like that when you're somebody like a Saddam Ali. You got to at least milk that title run for one more. And then if you're going to give up your belt, you know, in a challenging fight, you give it up for some big money. You don't give it up at Turning Stone Casino on a after dark card. You try to take that to championship boxing, maybe a Canelo undercard or something like that. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah.
But anyway, man. Yeah. But
Good
next
point,
week,
Brandon.
man, that's, you know what I'm saying? To me, it's just the people managing him have to do a better job than that. You know, you just can't. I mean, once that kid showed up in the ring, I've never seen this kid fight before, you know. The only time I heard his name because of the Triple G rumors. But that kid showed up, I was like, man, this motherfucker's huge. I was like, what is he going to do with this man? And we all know Saddam got a shaky chin. It just is what it is, you know. So anyway, next week, man, I got Badu, man. You know, I respect Stevenson and his power, the one punch capability that he has. But, you know, I think that his time is up. He's 40 years old. And I think that as long as Badu Jack can get out of the first 2 to 3 rounds without taking a left hand square on the chin, that he can win this fight. I think that man's elevated his game. I think that he's pretty much in his prime. He might be a little rusty because it's been a while since he's been in the ring. But I think he's fought a lot of top competition, and I think he's got everything that it takes to beat Stevenson. So we'll see if I'm right next week. And I got Gary on JoJo. I love JoJo, but JoJo just don't have enough pop to he's not on the same level as Gary. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm.
I give JoJo a decent shot just because JoJo's been more active. Gary only fights once a year.
But Robbie, this is my counter to that, and I do agree with you somewhat. Gary's in a fighting family. All those people do is fight. You know what I'm saying? That's all the family does is fight.
Right.
So even though he might not be active in the ring, he's probably in the gym. He's probably somewhat in, you know what I mean? I think his mind is, I think he's in fighting shape. That's what I'm going to say. I think he's probably going to just be sharp enough.
I agree with you. I think he'll win, but I think it'll be more competitive just because JoJo has been more active.
Okay, I can hear you on that. I think it's probably, you know, if JoJo shows up, he could probably make it an 8-4 fight. I just don't know the gap that JoJo fills to, you know what I mean? Because JoJo doesn't have pop. JoJo's not faster. JoJo doesn't have length on Gary. You know what I mean? If he had one of those attributes that was better than Gary's, then I would give him more of a chance.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
You know what I mean? There's not one thing that I could say JoJo has over him as a physical advantage. And I don't think he's got the same boxing mind that Gary has. So we'll see. You know, I'm looking forward to it. I'll be watching it. But anyway, man, I appreciate the show, fellas. I'll holler at y'all next week, man.
Oh, thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you very much. All right, there you go. And Brandon said he's picking Badu Jack. He doesn't know if he's right or not. Brandon, it's a shoe-in. You are completely right. There's no possible way you can lose that fight. I'm taking Badu Jack. The only one taking Stevenson is Georgie. And he's going to keep his title as the king of pies, all right? Because he's taking a loss, another L. So Georgie's record comes Saturday, and on Sunday, you know what time it is on Sunday, Robert? You know what time it is? It's time to pay the fiddler. It's time to pay the fiddler, Jack. Pay me. That'll do it.
All right.
For this edition of Ringside Reporter, as always, You can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert or call him on Ringside Robbie's Corner at 917-359-1810. Leave him a message. You can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at JHabib1. Find his YouTube channel at beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. I'm at Ringside 73, and we will see you next week.